yet you be true, and our love will stay the same. But I can see now, baby, how your love has changed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to In the Real. This is Eric.
This is Jen. And this is Cheryl.
Listening to Love So Strong by Primetime Smith.
Jimi Primetime Smith.
Hell
Jimi
yeah.
Primetime.
It's a good player.
Good musician.
Yes.
Local musician here.
Another guy on the Pat McLaughlin's Blues CD from Pat McLaughlin and
Part
Friends.
of the Blues All-Star group.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. It's a fantastic band. And we'll pause Jimi Primetime out here, and
More for later.
that's right.
Yes.
We'll close out with him and let you finish that song.
If you
It's
guys
a
haven't
good
seen
song.
him, get out and see him because he's a good showman.
Yeah.
He really is.
Really
Very
fun.
much, and we'd like to really thank all the Pat McLaughlin and all the people in the band for that, for allowing us to use their music on the podcast here. It
Yes,
was really
thank you.
really kind of them to do that. We're not we're not a business. We're not paying anybody shit.
Right. It's a Blues All-Star band.
All-Stars.
Minnesota Blues
Minnesota
All-Stars.
Blues All-Stars. There's CD 1 and 2, and all the musicians are phenomenal.
And although we're not paying anybody a damn thing, we're more than welcome to take payment for stuff.
Nice.
I don't know. I like to think I got a golden throat.
Right.
And for all the homosexuals, not for that.
Nice.
I got no problem with you doing what you do, but sorry, can't help you.
Yeah, too bad I'm not a guy. I can't think of anything I can do with a golden throat.
Well, you've actually got the right parts for me. You can do plenty with that golden throat. I know you know about this. I'll tell the story real quick. It's kind of funny, speaking on the homosexual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Way back when I was in really good shape, a little bit younger, a lot more attractive, I did an AIDS walk here in Minnesota in the summertime.
You did?
Yeah,
I'm so
I did.
proud that you did that.
And it was hot that day. Sunny was great. Got out there early, found a nice close parking spot. Got out in the sun, took my shirt off. I was in biker shorts, waiting for the thing to start. And I knew they were going to have like drag shows there, which was all great and cool. But I never put together, I'm at an AIDS walk, probably going to be some homosexual people around.
And you're in biker shorts.
I'm in biker shorts and took my shirt off.
Nice.
Didn't think twice about the situation, that I might be attracting things that I'm not aiming to attract.
And being non-PC, that you look technically gay.
Yeah. So I'm just standing out there enjoying the sun, watching some of the drag people come and going, oh, wow, it's pretty impressive. You look like a gal. That's great. And this lady comes up to me very kindly. She goes, hi, how are you? And I forget her name. She asked me my name and so forth. I'm like, oh, she was okay looking, not like knockout or anything. And we're at an AIDS walk. You don't expect anybody to be looking their best anyway.
Why? Because they all have AIDS?
Oh, well, I'm not assuming that. She just
Nice.
They weren't getting dressed to go out.
Right.
So
It's an activity event.
Right. So she's chatting with me and says, a friend of mine likes you and would like to meet you. And in her words, never indicated their gender.
So in your mind, you're thinking, an even hotter person, maybe.
Well, not even that. Just I didn't expect anything. Because, again, even at this point, not even a consideration. They'd probably be a higher number of homosexual people there because it's an AIDS walk and it's kind of a popular topic for...
Which is a good point for you, honey, to be non-stereotypical.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't care one way or the other. But, just in my mind, none of that stuff ever came to mind. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, great, Went over there, and we're walking to this guy, and I'm just like, oh, no. How do I handle this? And so she introduces me to him. I was like, oh, okay, great. And starts talking a little bit. Hey, do you work out? And all that, whatever. And she goes, well, I'll leave you guys go. And she walks off, and I was like, listen, I'm very flattered, but I'm sorry I can't do anything for you. I'm not like that. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's okay. Hey, thanks. Find me appealing that way. Hey, more power to you and good for me. But I just can't do anything for you. I mean, I was a little bit more strategic in everything that I was saying, but that was pretty much what I was delivering. And it's like, maybe you work out sometime. I'm like, yeah, I usually work out with my dad. We, go and split times off work and whatnot. And Then he's like, all right, well, maybe I'll meet you. I said, hey, yeah, great, thanks. I appreciate you chatting. He goes, hey, yeah, thanks. I appreciate you, not being upset. No big deal. I'm just like, okay, this walk can get going and get the hell out of here, because then I was just uncomfortable. Like, is this going to happen a lot? I wasn't expecting this. I don't know what to do, and it just threw me off. So I was just uncomfortable about it after that. But but it was weird. Like, I wasn't like put off by that. It just I was uncomfortable because I didn't know how I shouldn't deal with that, what would be rude, and I wasn't trying to be rude. I didn't want to be rude. I just didn't know what to do about it, as I didn't anticipate ever having to deal with that. So it was just really strange.
I have an actual story related to that today that I did today.
Okay.
Yeah, to that, like, trying not to be offensive and having many gay friends. I don't know why I did it. I was talking to my friend at work who was gay, and she was saying goodbye, and she gave me a hug.
Oh, it was a she as well.
Right, she's a she. She's saying goodbye, and she gave me a hug, and I really like this lady. She's so nice, you know what I mean? I mean, she's one of the top performers. She's a trainer.
I almost want to know who this is. No, don't say anything. Don't say it here.
You probably haven't heard too much about her, because she's actually on the opposite team from me, so, like, we don't work very closely together. Sure. But I love her work ethic. I absolutely love this woman, and, what she's about and how much knowledge she has and how hard she works. I'm like, this person is like me, even though she's much older. I'm like, that's still who I want to be and more when I'm her age. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm glad, I got to know you a little bit and whatever. I'd like to know you more. I'm like, yeah, me too. I said, and I still need to meet your partner. And then right away, and both my manager and my lead are standing right there while we're talking. I don't know why I did it, but I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh wait, I don't know if it's her partner. So I actually covered half of my face with my hand. I said, she's your wife, right? And kind of tilted my head like, she's your wife, right? Like, what am I telling a secret? Why would I, am I telling, like, is this a big deal? Like, I don't want other people to hear me?
Right.
But that's kind of like my physical reaction, like, that's your wife, right? And she's like, yeah, we just didn't exchange names. And I was like, okay. Then I dropped my hand, obviously I was like, why not? And she's like, well, because it takes like a year to do. I'm like, what? And they were telling me, I'm like, when I got married, it didn't take me a year to do. And we were kind of processing. She was telling me about like all the properties they own. And you got to think, this person is a high-powered trainer. They have multiple properties. She's very high up in her career. Her wife is a chiropractor who's a doctor, and she has multiple things or whatever. And she's like, yeah, when you come down to like mortgages and what, I was like, oh, that's why, because I didn't own anything when I married Eric, so it took like 3 months.
Nice.
So it's kind of funny, but I don't know why I did that action, and that action in my mind is like resonating with me, and I'm like, why did I have to be so weird about it? Like, there's nothing weird about it anymore. Why did I do it?
Right.
I don't even know. So it's
I don't know. Maybe it was more of a consideration that I'm guessing
At work.
Other people know at work, so it wasn't a secret there. But
it should never be at this point in age, this time in age.
But that doesn't mean she's open to
right.
that. Maybe you didn't know that. Maybe you do know partially. Maybe she didn't share like to these
everybody.
people. I mean, it
right. So that's
more
probably more
consideration
of
than
it.
anything.
But just that action keeps going through my head today.
Right.
Well, I can understand that,
funny.
because you were thinking more out of consideration, but how does that interpret from other people? They don't know why you're doing that.
Right. And, somebody viewing me is going, does she have a problem with this? And I'm like, no. What do you need me to prove?
Right.
I'm totally fine.
That's like the story I told. I wasn't uncomfortable
Right.
because the guy thought I was attractive. I was uncomfortable because I didn't know, I didn't anticipate how to handle a situation like that. So I didn't know if I was doing it in a rude or disrespectful way. I thought I handled it fine, excuse me, but I don't know how it was going to be interpreted by others. And honestly, I couldn't tell you if anybody was within 10, 15, 100 feet of me at the time, because I just was so thrown off by the situation. I was trying to be as polite and considerate as possible, that I wasn't focused or no situational awareness whatsoever.
Right.
I didn't want this person to feel bad that they had a friend or themselves put themselves out there for something that wasn't going to happen, and take a shot like that in a negative way, and not have the confidence later to do it again, because it could work out for them. But
I think we kind of, that's just kind of how our personal lives are. So we get on the show and we actually are like, okay, we're not PC correct. And I think that's just because we're not PC correct people, but it's not because we don't want to be. It's because we're awkward and weird and we don't.
Well, that, and at the same time,
we don't mean anything by it. That's
Right.
the thing. You
right,
know,
people that don't really know us don't understand that we don't care about any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. And, you know, I'm gonna admit something just for myself, and I'm not gonna put words in other people's mouths. I say probably the most obscene things that, if heard by another person, would put me in the worst jail in people's minds ever on being
or get you shot.
Yeah.
anti-Semitic, racist, homophobic. I mean, but I just say it because it sounds funny. It's because it's ridiculous, and I have no harmful intent behind it. And I most certainly wouldn't go out to somebody to say stuff like that
Right.
with any harm intended, because I don't feel that way. It's just funny things to say. I find it funny to be called a spick, and I'm not. I'm Hispanic, but
You're a spin.
not.
No,
But in the relation that comes down to is typically Mexican, not Puerto Rican.
right.
So,
Right.
but to me, it just sounds funny. It's just a funny sounding word, and I laugh at it. You know, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I don't really care. But to other people, it would just be such a derogatory thing to say. But you know, and we're just not like that.
Yeah.
That. To us, it's not even, oh, did that offend you? We don't think of it that way, so we have to be more cautious because we're trying to judge what others might see in that.
That's
and
the
we don't
problem.
know because we
Right.
don't view it that way.
And just
so
like
it's tough.
just being yourself and just talking loud or whatever, which is easy on the radio. It's easy on the podcast because nobody's right in front of you. So you say what you want to say, and you say what you mean, and then you say, I don't mean anything by that, and that's awesome. But my awkward interactions are something that I review in my head, and I'm like, how did that person take it? I know how I meant it, which is meaningless, but how did that person take it? So
Right.
it's an interesting kind of thing that just kind of came to me right now that we're talking about, and it's like, yeah, we're really not out to offend anyone.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that, but we're also not interested in curtailing ourselves.
Well, even reviewing your own actions in your own head and wondering why you're even doing them to begin with, it's kind of a funny thing. I talking about the whole like gay and bi thing, and there's this. I ran into one of my old coworkers at the place I used to work at, and she's now a bartender and blah blah blah. So she's gotten a little bit more familiar with a lot of the customers there. And there is this one lady that goes there, and she is a butch, but she is a very attractive butch. And
An attractive butch.
yes,
Now you got Eric's interest.
I'm
what?
telling you, like
That's,
she is.
to
like
me.
she's hot?
That doesn't work.
No,
Attractive butch.
she's
Like as a woman, like would you consider her hot? Like
Yes.
would we want to take pictures
she
of her?
looks like a very attractive guy.
Can you get her
with
number?
feminine features?
Can you get her number because I'd love to take pictures of her?
That's the thing that that's my story.
She wears
Is that-
skirts
go
and
ahead.
heels, though.
No,
Let's let
no.
you tell the story.
She dresses like a man and she looks like a man, but she is a female and she is very attractive and she's got this like bold, like charismatic behavior. And my ex coworker is now, or my old coworker who I was waitressing with is now a bartender, and she brought up this lady's name, and I was like, "Oh my god, I remember her!" And she's like, "I know, isn't she hot?" Like, and I remember her. I was a server, so she never paid any attention to me. But being a female lesbian, who she was fully on, you could tell. I mean, she was hitting on all the ladies, and all the ladies wanted to be with her. As a server, you're kind of like, "Hi, hey, hey," you know. And she
What's
never,
up?
right? What's up? How you doing? You know. And so she never paid any attention to me, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, am I like this unattractive, horrible being?" Because this gorgeous, like, lesbian will not pay any attention to me, you know? Like, so it's like you start to like reevaluate everything that you do in your head. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I just?
And she's probably just getting the vibe from you that that chick is utterly straight.
Exactly.
I cannot turn her.
That's exactly it.
But it's misconception.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Like, she knows that
misconceptions.
I am straight as hell and nothing would ever happen.
If,
So
and if
why
we're
even
judging that
bother?
right,
Yes.
you know, that's her view, and you're seeing it differently. What am I doing to offend her?
Right.
It's-
She's just like, "No, you're straight. I don't want you. You have nothing to do with me." And you're just like, "Oh my god, why can't I even attract your attention in any way? Should I put some blush on? Do I need to dye my hair blonde? I don't, it's just weird.
So I think that kind of blasted our entire perceptions of people that we've been telling, like, we don't give a fuck or whatever.
Right.
We're actually highly
We
sensitive to like how people perceive us because we all know we're awkward and weird.
I don't think it's we care about how they perceive us.
I
I think it's more that we are considerate of our conduct to other people because we are very aware that we don't view things to be problematic or offensive as they might. And so we make these efforts to not induce discomfort on their part.
While
and
still
we just
trying
don't
to be
know,
ourselves.
right? And we just don't know if that's happening.
Right.
It's just what it is. And honestly, if I would characterize it as that conduct as being a good thing, because most people that would be similar to us that really don't give a shit don't care enough to be considerate of other people. I mean, I'm at the same time, I don't care. I'll go out and say stuff that's completely offensive, and I know it's going to bother people.
But in your professional
But
life,
I'm not,
you're a different animal.
Completely different. But in normal life, going on, and I'm not going out to offend people and be derogatory toward them. I'll voice my opinion. I don't care, but I'm not going to use language that's going to be degrading to somebody because that reflect on me as a poor person. But if I come off as rude and they don't like that, I don't care. That's your problem. I'm just being me. You're being you. I'm being me. And if you're too soft to take me, well, tough shit. That's your problem. But I'm not going around saying things that would be taken in a very offensive way or conducting myself that would be very threatening and offensive on purpose to give that persona that's how I am.
Well, and that's the thing is I think that we think, though, that kind of language and the derogatory terms that we use are actually pretty funny because we don't take it personally. But we also, want people to perceive that, hey, I'm saying this, but don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of hard to translate.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause they don't know you.
Right, right. Like you really, there's almost like an understated desire for people to really know who you are.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's like
interesting.
like your dad. I mean, I can say some of the most nastiest things that I say when we're by ourselves, and he doesn't care, But your mom probably not as lenient on it. Not that she would care any more or less, but I don't
react.
know. But she
Maybe
it might
later.
matter.
No, yeah.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Though she wouldn't react then. She just might go, oh, and then it matters later. So can't do that. And any other person on the street couldn't do that with, and any of your friends that I even know of couldn't do that with. Just that would be problematic to them.
Right.
But
That's a good point of that. Even just this whole conversation just kind of made me realize is that I didn't really realize her gaydar. The lady that
that is perceiving you.
right, that's perceiving me,
It's
and I'm
probably
like, well, no
she's
wonder
so
why
straight, not going to try it.
she's right, not even going to try it. Even though I'm like, hey, hi, and she's like, you're straight as fuck. Why would I even give you 2 fucks to the wind? I'm like, yeah. So that's
not to knock you down, but there's the possibility that you're just not that attractive.
I guess
to her.
not. That's what I was like. Oh my god, my
To
life
her-
has crashed.
To her, she's just like, eh.
And to me, unacceptable. My sister's like the hottest person on the planet that I know. No.
Right, I was like,
Next to me at 18, Cheryl's the hottest person I know. No, I'm just kidding.
oh
That's
god,
hilarious.
I literally told one of my coworkers the other day, I showed him a picture of my brother because he looked like him.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you see any similarities? He goes, I think I know that guy. And I said, you mean in the mirror?
Yeah.
And he started laughing. I was like, okay, because they look similar, but obviously he didn't see the resemblance. I'm sure Andy wouldn't see the resemblance either.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, let me show you a picture of my sister. And I don't know why I said it, but I was like, just because I show everybody my sister's picture because she's hot.
Oh boy.
What the fuck is that? I don't even know why I did it, but I just did it. And he didn't say anything. He was like, oh yeah, I see the resemblance in all 3 of you because he saw the picture of me, you, and Andy on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I was like, really? I said, just between my sister and my brother because they look mostly alike.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, all 3 of you. I was like, sweet. I don't look like the
Nice.
mailman's daughter, which I've always thought my entire life.
So you're trying to make Andy think he's adopted, and you were the one.
Right,
I
on
was the
outside.
one.
Andy Anderson.
It must have been something
the
before I
previous
was born. I
podcast.
knew that I was not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jenny Joplin.
Yeah, there you go.
It was funny.
So on with today's topic.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
moving-
talking about misconceptions.
misconceptions.
Yep.
Sure. Past our little inserted gay topic, which wasn't planned. Which we need to stick to the script written by the professionals here, right?
None of us are, so none of us do.
We're a well-produced show here.
Right.
No one do what no one do. No,
Right.
that's not a
We
Forrest
do what
Gump
you
thing.
do.
Okay, that's more Forrest Gump than what
That's
I came up with.
yeah.
So we're talking about the Scientology thing today.
Now you take point on this, Jen, because you and Cheryl, you guys got your tablets in front of you. I'll just have the grotesque opinions about it.
Okay.
Because I can do that well.
So actually, before this had even come up, Scientology, like with the Leah Remini, who is a big name right now. She's doing the series on A&E, 8-part series. It's almost done. We're
What's
waiting.
it called?
It's called. Hang on, let me find it.
It was on. Was it Netflix? You said.
Yes.
Yeah,
Netflix. Scientology: The Aftermath.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl.
Yes.
Scientology, and the Aftermath. So she has this big show, and everybody's totally
And
tuning
the
in.
Aftermath.
Yeah,
It's Scientology: The Aftermath. Right.
you're the one looking it up.
Well, not that.
Well, that's what I'm
Not
going
that
with.
nice.
Get it fucking right.
As you can tell, we are not professionals.
Not professionals here.
What the hell's going on with this shit?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I mean,
We're
seriously, when you
goddamn
apply for a radio station, do you have to be like Google Master? Is that like
Yes.
what it
All right, hold on. Pause.
All right. So
We need.
Scientology
Dave
and the
Mordell.
Aftermath is what I'm reading here, is the name of her series. And everybody
name?
is Leah Remini,
Leah.
Yep.
Spelled different than what I'm spelling.
probably, because you can't
Remini.
spell.
R-E-M.
Remini.
I-N-I,
Totally Italian.
Oh, God, yeah. Like
Yeah.
her accent.
Like she did the nails and everything and the makeup. She's so gorgeous.
Spears
Yes.
on her fingers.
But like watching her, I'm like, oh yeah, she's so East Coast. I love
Yes.
it.
Jersey Shore.
Oh, I know, I love it. She's totally from Brooklyn.
Well, you could tell sometimes her
Brooklyn,
accent
Norway.
comes out. Like she's
Yes.
very
Boston.
careful not to have
Boston.
the accent, but sometimes it comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very cute. I love it.
So anyway,
So
there's-
before the series you were talking about, right?
before this even came up, which I'm glad it's a hot topic. I'm glad she's doing it because I think it needed to have a spotlight on it.
Yes.
I had heard the first time about Scientology when I was working in Wells Fargo.
Okay.
And we were kind of having just a mild discussion about it because, same like
It was
I am
about
now.
15 some odd years ago, right?
Oh, must have been even more than 17. No, I was dating you, so probably about 16, 15 years ago.
like that, yeah.
Yep. So somebody was talking about it, and we just had a mild discussion. And just like today, I don't watch the news. I get my news from the internet. So I didn't know what was going on, and one of my friends brought it up. And we started talking about, I'm like, what is that? I'm like, can you tell me more about that? Because he was very opinionated, very against it. He hated it.
Oh.
And I was like, what is it? And so he was like, basically, you can do whatever you want, and, it doesn't matter. I'm like, I don't get it. He's like, basically, your parents don't matter. I was like, huh?
Weird.
So he was telling me this stuff, and it was almost unbelievable. Like, I was like, why do anybody, go into that?
Yeah.
He's like, all these actors are doing it. So this guy had the beat on it before I did, and I didn't understand it because I didn't even know there was a Scientology religion before that day. And we're talking in the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, even back then, I remember anybody who was in Scientology was kind of labeled as like a little bit crazy. Leah Remini. You hated Kings of Queen. I loved Kings of Queen, but I always knew that there was something weird about her that the media portrayed as being kind of a little
Odd.
off the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's like I liked her character. I know you hated her character. I liked what was it, the main character?
The fat guy.
Kevin James or something like
That was it?
and
Dick.
I loved him. I love that
and
show.
by the way, when you say you hated it, she's talking about me.
Yes, Eric. He hated Leah Remini's character, and I understand it. She was kind of a bitch on the show, but there always was that kind of off the wall portrayal of her as like, there's something a little bit off about her.
Meaning her
Back in-
character?
No, just
Or
about
just
her.
herself? Okay.
Yep, her in person.
Personal.
Back in
But
2000, it was
when
kind of like,
was the first time you heard about Scientology, though?
Probably, I want to say maybe 2007.
Was it because of the show?
Probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is how you personally perceived it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw her trying to
Not only through yourself, but through the media.
The
They were
media.
like, what is this?
Yeah,
Scientology.
Scientology, they're weirdos, so here they are trying to portray their, religion on people. It's like, back off. We're not, yeah.
And Eric, what about you? When was the first time you heard about Scientology?
Best that my memory serves, I think it was somewhere during the 90s. Somebody had brought it up of Scientology religion, and I was like, what is that? What is that, like, another part of Jews or Christianity? I mean, I had no idea what the hell it was.
Yeah.
And they said, well, no, it's their explanation. And again, this was a long time ago, so verbatim here, their explanation was, they believe that an aliens came and seeded the earth with certain people to help the other people, and the aliens will come back at some point in time. I was like, what the fuck?
It wasn't that something to do with like Nicole Kidman?
I have no idea what around that. I don't remember what all that was wrong. I was just like, well, are you seriously? That they believe that for real? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Flabbergasted?
It just didn't make any sense. And even and at that time, I will admit, I probably still had some ties to my religious beliefs a little bit.
Which was Christianity.
Yes.
He won't say it.
Lutheran denomination of Christianity. But even then, I didn't care for any kind of religion, and even in mine, it was like, whatever, take it or leave it. I haven't fully made my own decisions yet, but that was just like, well, that's interesting. I will admit, it sounded intriguing. Like, I kind of want to know what the hell that's about. And I remember we drove through St. Paul once, and I think
we, as in you and I?
Yeah, you and I with the boys when they were younger around the Science Museum and whatnot, and we drove by. They have a Scientology building in downtown St. Paul, and I saw it for the first time. The biggest Scientology. I'm like, I want to go in there. I want to ask some questions.
Yeah.
It was just,
they would have kicked you out immediately. Now that we know now. But
well, I'd go in and say, listen, I want to ask some people some questions. Oh, okay, no, I don't want in. I'm not joining this nut job shit. I'm just curious on what your opinions are. I just want to interview. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm going to judge you. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
I just want to know what it is I want to psychologically analyze you. That's really what I want to know. What it is that drives you to have this belief? Because I was raised in Christianity belief and in the Lutheran side. I've seen that information. I've gotten some information in some of the side of the nut job Catholic people and some of the Jewish stuff. I've gotten that data. I kind of want to get your take on. You're kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I've heard of this crazy. I just want to know you're kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And that's it. And judging by what, we're at now and what we've seen, I don't think anybody would ever, just deliver that way.
Oh, we can get to that.
Just in such a secretive way, but join us, then we'll tell you everything. Oh,
Right.
well, no, fuck you. I'm not. No.
Yeah.
And pay us money.
But-
Yeah.
Right. Here's a nickel. Now, suck your dick and tell me what I want to hear.
Right.
But yeah, it's. But yeah, that your original question. That's
Your first.
probably the first time and after that it was.
I think you're right. It was around the Nicole Kidman time.
Well, because the reason Nicole Kidman broke
Joined
up
was with Tom Cruise.
right. She joined because of Tom Cruise. Right.
But I think she was kind of labeled the weirdo.
Well, because
of the stars.
you have to
because
understand
she was-
her father's a pastor.
Oh.
I didn't think she joined. I thought she was just
No,
with
she
Tom.
had to join.
I
Because
thought
Tom
she
Cruise.
didn't have to join, but she couldn't be negative. And that's why they started really roping in Tom Cruise to ensure that she didn't sway him. I thought that information came
They were
that
worried.
way.
They were worried about her,
Right.
Because
she wouldn't join is what
Right.
my impression was.
we'd have to research that
Yeah.
because they didn't really go over that even in the series, but
Sure.
it was like they were really worried about Nicole Kidman because she wasn't a Scientologist and because her father was.
Right.
This
And for the
leader,
bad talk
right.
thing and stuff. That's why I was under the impression she didn't join, and that's why they were so concerned about that, having this high profile person with somebody that wouldn't be part of them. That's where that raising concern came from. That's how I perceived it anyway. Maybe
Okay.
it's not even close. But.
And that's kind of jumping years ahead about like the first years we heard about it. But I mean, really, it was only in
That
the
was
recent
about the 90s.
years.
That was early
Yeah,
90s.
90s.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, I was a little bit later. Cheryl, you were later than that too.
Right.
Yeah,
But I think originally watching, like the Tom Cruise movies with Nicole Kidman, I think that's where I first heard about it, but I really it didn't catch on. It didn't latch
no,
on.
it didn't even
It's
like
kinda
in my brain.
eh.
I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I remember it from that.
And I
because-
believe that
yeah.
Kings and Queen was actually like originated from the 90s, but I didn't start watching the reruns until like 2000. So that's where I started
And
hearing
it still wasn't even in my mind a big thing
No,
until then.
no,
You
not
know, it was
even.
just kind of like, okay,
Eh.
like a weirdo
That's your
thing.
religion. That's
I
what
thought
you
of it as like a
choose.
weirdo celebrity thing where they
Yeah.
could basically get away
Yeah.
with anything because that's what my friend told me.
Yeah, they're just bored and they just have too much money.
I'm like, so
they
they
need
just
something
have
to
like
do.
this weird thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until basically the last couple of years where we started hearing about it because it's such a big, mega million kind of corporation
Yeah.
that is posing itself as a religion. And that's coming out more and more.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. Well, that's not right.
Right.
That's not right. You
Yeah.
know? And I guess maybe that's why it stuck in my head the most recent years is that it's big. And we're hearing all these complaints about ex-members, which
Yeah.
had never happened before.
No.
Never. They've apparently successfully, silenced all the people before, the 2010s?
Right. Well, because back in our days, it was like Scientology was kind of this new phenomenon, new religion that only rich people can obtain. So to us, it was just kind of like, well,
I
it's
thought it was just
unattainable.
for the stars.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, well, I'm not that rich, and I'm
Well, I
kind
guess
of
you
on the
never
poor
heard
end.
about it without it being attached to a celebrity's
Yeah,
name. you know.
yeah.
But more to the point of not hearing like the escape of people and the people leaving it and whatnot. We do need to credit a little bit of that happening with the social media of today. I mean, back then,
Absolutely.
you wouldn't hear that unless it was hearsay. It wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it was printed in a paper or a newspaper or the Inquirer or some bullshit like that. But what kind of value did you place on that, or did you even bother looking for that data? You just went versus
Probably
today.
not.
I mean, you just look it up, you can find it. It's just in your face. So it's probably not so much that people weren't leaving successfully, unsuccessfully. It just wasn't readily available for you to know about it
it's
until
not
now.
so much that people weren't speaking out, but it might be in one local newspaper or
Right,
whatever.
small-time
might
paper.
It doesn't make the big news.
Back of the city pages.
And as much as
Right.
we hate like the massive multimedia for today being in your face and
Right.
fucking up the millennials or whatever, thankfully it does shine light on situations like this.
Sure. Well, it's the data becoming so readily available,
Accessible,
and
yep.
which I guess I would attribute it to inadvertently shining lights on things like that as much as it does, because at times that's not really what you want, but what happens.
And I'm actually happy because it takes away from the news skew where, they're trying to like skew a story. All of a sudden a story comes out and somebody's like, share. And if it's a big story, boom, it's there. And then they have to do the news on that
Sure.
instead of trying to skew it their way.
Yeah, not to get hung up on the process of the
Right,
news
I
stuff
get
and
it.
whatnot, but
Yep.
it's also a lot of the false data comes out like that. So, people, like us, I'm trying to boast our intellect here a little bit, and those that listen to this show, we take the time to say, oh, interesting, and do some research to see its accuracy, see what it's about and whatnot.
Check Snopes, even if you're not interested in doing anything else.
Right.
Check Snopes.
Exactly. Don't rely on a funny resource like The Onion for your reality in life.
Right, that's entertainment. And I have actually seen Onion articles go out as like serious news, and I just have to laugh.
I laugh at any of the damn news, really,
my God.
but when somebody's like, "Did you see this?" I'm like, "Did you see the resource there?"
Right,
It's
and then they
meant
say
to
it's
be
from
funny.
The Onion, and I'm like, people are taking that seriously. Oh my God.
You might as well just go to YouTube and type in news and take that as your daily news, because, jeez. Let's just be clear, we're not knocking The Onion. The Onion's just funny.
The Onion's amazing.
It's hilarious
the people
stuff.
that take it seriously and think it's a real news story, and then are like, "Oh my God, have you seen that?" It's like The Onion's a joke. I mean, they literally make it very clear it's a joke site.
Yeah.
Snopes is where you want to go.
Right.
Onion, Snopes.
Right.
Onion,
And,
Snopes.
and FYI, if you want true facts, Wikipedia is not necessarily true facts. Hey,
Right.
sometimes I got some data that's right, but I can go on there and say anything I want about anybody until it gets corrected. Everybody's got wrong data.
Any smart millennials that are listening to our show, and I specify smart because if they weren't, they wouldn't, don't go to Wikipedia for your information.
Right.
You can do it for a general thing, but then fucking fact
Then
check
research it after that. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And we should give a little disclosure before we start getting really into the Scientology stuff. Scientologists, any other religion, whatever you want, understand this is our personal opinion.
Yes.
And we're going by information we've been finding. But, we just the three of us here have a range of opinions when it comes to any kind of religious beliefs.
Yeah, oh, very much.
So it's not,
So
we're not, we might as an individual decide this is not us, this is not for me, this is stupid, things like that. But we are encouraging people to decide on their own what they think. And if you really want to believe in Christianity, Muslim world, whatever it is, Scientology, I don't care. Believe what you want, whatever makes you feel good in life. Just don't start pressing it on people. Is the only thing I ask personally. But just to voice it out there, I think every religious belief is bullshit. So Scientology, you're not escaping that either.
Right. Yeah, you're not out of that.
Well, and that's the thing is I may have very strong beliefs, but as I proved in the last podcast, I may have very strong emotions and beliefs or whatever, but somebody can tell me some information and facts and I can change. I can change my opinion. I'm easily changeable, not because of the pressure that people give on me, just because more information will change my brain, which is why I do the research that I do, why I think of a subject and I almost get obsessed and I start to grab as much information as I can. So if somebody gives me information and I change what I think, I don't think of this as a failure, which I think most people do. Like, you can have a very strong belief, and then people are like, oh, you have to defend that fact. So people are trying to give them information, they just block it out. They're like, no, fuck you, I hate you, and it turns into that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm not like that. If I have a strong belief, it doesn't matter. If you give me more information and I'm like, that's something to consider. It doesn't mean that I might necessarily change my viewpoint right then and there, but it might give me another perspective to research.
Right. And I think that's important position to take in life. I mean, you're going to believe what you want to believe, but don't take what people are trying to tell you in their perspective as an attack against your belief.
No.
It's what they see and how they feel. And maybe, just maybe, as you're pointing out, they have some data that you don't know that you may want to consider and research, because maybe you're going down the wrong path with what you believe. And until you find that out, to either make your path more legitimate than what you've been hearing, or vice versa. It's not at the end of the world. It's not a big deal. It's a little bit more to the left, a little bit more to the right, whatever you need to do.
Well, some of the most engaging conversations that I've had in my life was with a friend who is a Jehovah's Witness. And I told her, I said,
fucking nut.
I can't disagree.
she was a coworker, so she couldn't run away.
Son of a bitch.
Which is probably to, maybe she was.
Oh, you mean you
wanted
couldn't
to
run away?
No, she couldn't run away, so she probably wanted to. But I just told her, I said,
you're fucking wrong. Help me with this thing. And you're wrong. Yeah,
I
right.
just told her, I said, there's nothing that you can say that could change my personal belief. I said, but I really want to learn about what you have learned to change your mind because I'm interested. And I can't tell you how many, probably hundreds of hours of talks that we had. And it was really interesting. Like, even when I think back to that time in my life where I worked there, that's like one of the most prominent thoughts that I have is the discussions that I had with her, with Norma. I was like, it was engaging. And I'm like, I can see where you might want to go with that. And I could see where that would be attractive to you. I have a different viewpoint because I have a different feeling about what that is. But it's very intriguing.
I can't disagree with that. I actually met a guy who was this was back in like 2001.
I remember this.
Yeah, and he was very into the Quran.
He's Muslim.
Yep, Muslim. And one of my I totally agree with you that one of my most interesting conversations.
Another Christian base, I believe.
Well, it was it was right before. No. Okay,
Muslim is not Christian.
It's not.
I honestly thought recent information was like it's another Christian base. It's like a variety of Christianity of.
We'll have to research that, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that Muslim was not Christian.
No,
maybe I'm miscommunicating that. It's not Christian. It's it's a bad relation to say it's like another
Derivative,
variation. Yeah,
right.
maybe
like
that's a bad comparison, but-
kind of like a derivative before the Christianities were because it was Muhammad and stuff like that. So it was actually based from their home country, which was Bethlehem or that. So it was in the Middle East, and I cannot disagree with you that most of the conversations that I had with them were very intriguing, and I just wanted to learn more. Like I wanted to read the Quran.
Right.
I still want to.
It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
You're taking it from a prophet, but if you
Yep.
think about it, Christianity is also based on a prophet, which is Jesus.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
but blood relation prophet, right?
well,
Right.
That's
King
what they
James,
say, right?
well,
excluding
really-
Kim James, then yes.
Kim James?
King
Asian?
James.
Well, no,
made it-
even in the First Testament, they say that God created blah 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 blah, and then Mary and Joseph, whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't that in the First Testament?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Well,
Yeah.
if you think about it, all of the the John, the Psalm, and all those people bring their stories to Jesus, right? Well, what is that? Aren't
They're
they a bunch
disciples.
of disciples?
they were
Or
supposed to be like witnesses, basically,
Okay,
of
so
his
it's not a
life.
prophet of some kind?
No, a prophet. Prophet would be Jesus or Muhammad or a prophet.
So a prophet means relationship, a son?
It like
A follower. A follower.
not even a follower. It's almost like a messenger.
Yeah.
Messenger?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
isn't Jesus the son of God in that
So
religion?
he was like the messenger of God. Muhammad was a messenger of Allah.
So Justin and Josh are messengers of me.
Right.
Nice.
In a sense.
Nice.
No, I get what,
I get what
he's
he's
saying.
saying.
You're right.
Well, we should disclose one more thing. I am hammered.
Nice.
I'm going to start saying some
Yeah.
fucked up shit. I'm
Yeah,
just
but-
telling you
but you're
right
right.
now.
You're right. In a sense, it's kind of like
It's-
one son going. But for some reason, the Quran and the Islam beliefs,
Muslim
Muslim
Islam,
beliefs,
not
it was
just
a
Islam.
little bit more like skin the fat.
Crazy.
Okay, no,
Eric
just
no.
goes right. But Eric
Nice.
even thinks Christianity is
Right.
crazy.
And I
Oh,
believe
I do.
No,
So
I
I'm
get
not
it.
busting
He thinks
you with the
every
Muslims, but-
every religion is crazy.
Like the Christianity believes is more built on like, oh yeah, let's just plump it up a little bit. Let's just kind of build our ego and let's kind of So the Islam
but it's
belief,
also very manly kind of oriented, right? It's about the
Yes.
which Christianity in its original form is the same way.
is the same way, but it's a
Yes.
little bit more. I think Christianity is a little bit more. I don't know. I want to say buffed.
Crazy.
No, but buffed upon like building the financial stability,
which was added later,
yeah, which was exactly where the Islam belief is a little bit more
true to the source.
Yeah. Let's just skim the fat, and this is what the source is based from. So I still actually would like to read parts of the Quran. Just because of the conversations in English that I've had, which I don't even know if it is. And I'm sure it is.
Right.
I would imagine there's some things lost in that translation.
I'm sure.
Well, same thing with the Bible that everybody goes by
God,
is
yeah.
that there's so many things lost in translation, and there's so many parts that were cut out because of the revisions.
And we're all
Right.
drunk.
Yes,
yeah,
we
we are.
The revisions of it.
Well,
So-
King James, who fucking slaughtered 20 million fucking people, and
Well, it wasn't
he
just
decided to
him, it was
rewrite
every
fucking people. It's
king.
like I don't even.
Right.
I don't even believe. I am a Christian and I am a Catholic. And well, okay, I'm
You're not a Catholic.
Presbyterian.
Yes, thank you.
One or the other.
One or the other. I don't fucking pick your fucking choice. Lutheran, fucking Presbyterian, basically the same thing. It's hard to even read the Bible that we are given because I don't believe it because it's all fucking written by a fucking mass murderer. You know.
It's not only that; it's playing telephone.
Yeah.
For how many centuries?
Exactly.
You do it from you can stand in the same room and you can do it with 6 people and the message changes. Mm-hmm. You do it over the centuries and
that's-
tell me that shit doesn't change.
And that's just, you're
You're an
talking
idiot.
just passing the message. You're not even addressing yet the perspective that one gained before they
Right.
try to relay
And
it.
writing
I
it.
mean,
Right.
I have my own fucking relationship with God,
Yeah.
and you know what? Nobody else can fucking change it. No other Bible, no other Quran,
No other pastor
anything,
or priest.
or anything. That is my relationship, and nothing. No other book can make that change.
Mm-hmm.
I know we want to move on to the Scientology
We
parts
do.
of this,
We do.
but
We do.
honestly,
Sorry.
I'm glad. No. This is good because we've all gotten to relay our perspectives on everything. And
I want
and
you to
how-
tell the audience your relationship because it's not necessarily that he's agnostic. It's not necessarily that you're, the anti
Or atheist,
religion
even.
atheist.
Right.
You can't tell them that you're
Sure,
scientific.
absolutely.
Right.
So, and before I do that, I think this is good that we've gotten, everybody's really given their summary on, where we're coming from here. So we're not necessarily trying to sit here and bash Scientology,
Not
even
at
though,
all.
and I don't know your guys' opinion, so I'm not trying to say this, but I don't think any one of us here has any kind of, maybe that's possible. I don't think any of us here have any kind of, gosh, I hate to say the words of being supportive to that being a possibility, that type of a religion, but that I don't know how else to better describe it.
The Scientology?
Yeah, for the Scientology.
I have to admit, I have a hopefulness.
Okay, so I'm not accurate in describing that, but
I would have a hopefulness that was something that was possible.
well, then
but,
at the same time,
but it's not that I believe it because
sure. So
Right.
then at the same time, you can take any religion and go, part of that is accurate. Well, you hope that L. Ron Hubbard somehow had some kind of insight to something.
and then I look back at L. Ron Hubbard and
And
I'm
he's
like,
just a
this guy's
nutbag.
a fucking insane person,
Yeah,
which
he
we'll
was-
get to.
He was
we'll
writing
get to.
fiction and shit. So how is any of this accurate? For me, in my religion perspective, I don't care what religion it is. You can bring it on straight from the Pope. I don't care. I don't buy it. None of it to me has accuracies because any part of it I can ask you a question about to try to prove this to me. And I can always come back with, but there's no evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes all the way down to boils up, but that's what faith is. I am not going to believe something just because. No, not going to happen. I breathe oxygen for a reason. My body needs it. I'm not just going to believe in breathing because it's happening. There's just no way. So I don't believe in any religious perspective at all.
Because you believe in
But-
science very
Right,
highly.
very highly. And at the same time, I will admit, in my perspective, to be a good scientific mind, you can't deny the possibilities of what you don't believe.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit here and say one or any of them are wrong. I don't know, and I can admit that. I don't have the evidence to prove it one way or the other, so I'm going to take the information I do have and make a decision from there, and my decision is I don't buy any one of them. Mm-hmm. And if I'm wrong, when I meet this higher power, I'm going to bitch slap him, and then we're going to have a conversation about reality. And I'm going to set his ass straight.
Nice.
Her ass. Whoever's ass it is.
Well, Jen, before we jump into the Scientology,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we got. I want to know your more clearer perception of it.
She didn't get
What
it.
is your
I
take?
got it. She didn't get it.
No, guys. No. I know that you're kind of like in between, right? I mean, you have a higher power, just like I do.
That's
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I actually do.
But you have more of a scientific mind as well.
I do
like
have
Eric.
more of a scientific. I believe in science, and I believe in a higher power, which I call God because of my Christian upbringing. Yeah. I don't care what the name is. God, Allah, Buddha, whatever. I think it's all the same person. Same thing when the ancient Greeks and Romans used to worship like Zeus,
I
Hera, Orion, whatever. Egyptians. I think it's all the same. You're right. I think it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
They would just attribute different aspects and make
To their
them
culture?
multiple. Same thing with like the culture. Same thing with the Nordics. They're praying to like Thor.
Calling up tomato. Exactly.
Right.
yeah.
It's
Iron Man.
basically
It's the same
throughout
thing. Just
our
throughout-
entire history of mankind, we have always believed in a higher power. Whether that higher power be mystical, that most of us think
Mystical
of.
or mythical?
Well, and that's what I'm saying, or mythical.
Okay.
Or like alien.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what it's called. That's generally, in my mind, it's the same thing.
That's a good aspect. I like that. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what we call it. Doesn't matter what we do. It's really that we all believe in this one thing. Doesn't matter what we call it. No. Doesn't matter what our beliefs are. No.
Right.
And I don't think we should be fighting so aggressively
we shouldn't be
over.
having wars over it. That's
Right,
for sure.
over like, oh no, it's Allah. Oh no, it's God. That's a fucking stupid and retarded, and we've been doing it for centuries,
Yeah.
and it hasn't worked.
Right.
Give it up, dumb shits.
Right.
Find
Find some other means of spending your fucking money.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, with my belief in science involved, a lot of people have a problem attributing science to religion. I don't have that problem.
Okay.
So science is energy doesn't just dissipate.
Dissipate?
Sorry.
I knew what you meant.
Dissipate. Nice. Dissipate. Energy just
Dissipate
doesn't,
and precipitate.
It just doesn't go out.
Right.
It goes somewhere else. Okay? So even the power lines, it doesn't just go away.
Right.
It has to go somewhere else. We are energy, right? Our bodies are energy. So does that mean when this body dies, the energy that's inside just goes away?
Right.
That
I
doesn't make
absorb
any
it all.
sense. It doesn't make any. It
Nice.
also nice. It also, in a religious mind, doesn't make sense for all of these energies to just go up into this other realm and all converge together like, hi, everybody loves you. And then there's more energies being born and more energies going up. That doesn't make any sense. So energy getting recycled makes more sense, right? Which is why the Scientology thing about you live how many lives,
Grasping you.
right? Well,
Yeah.
it's the theory about it, not that I believe in
Right.
Scientology,
No,
but
I totally get you.
energy doesn't go anywhere. So maybe your energy leaves your body,
Reincarnation.
goes up into this other realm where you're all part of something. Obviously, everybody believes in that. Like you all come together, and you're like, "Hi, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here again. I
Right.
love you." And then all of a sudden, you're like asked, "Are you ready to go back down?"
Or you ask yourself.
Right. Or
Because I need to learn
I
something.
need to learn
that's-
something.
That's one
I
thing that
need to do
attracts me.
more.
Yeah.
Right.
Is reincarnation.
So then you come back because energy doesn't go anywhere.
Yep.
It just gets rebirthed,
Right.
like the phoenix.
Yep.
Poof.
Like you learn something every
Right.
single life.
And even though your memories are erased,
Yeah.
you seem to have like certain tendencies towards like, oh, like Cheryl is, you're really kind of into the 60s,
Yeah.
70s,
70s.
late 60s, or no, 70s, 70s.
Yeah. 70s. Don't know why.
I'm kind of into like the 1800s, so
Yeah.
maybe I'm a slow learner. I spent a little bit more time up there and came back.
Or
Eric,
you were an older learner.
Eric's like super into the 50s, and I don't know if that's from your parents this day and age, or what you feel like that's the age I want to live in because that's what I'm used to, whatever.
Yeah.
It kind of just feels like there's stuff that might be repeated that we don't know about.
Yep.
Well-
you're attached to an age for some reason. Either you died in that age and you don't know why, and you still maybe need to learn more.
So I can't discredit that there's a higher power because it's always been there in every religion, everywhere, and I feel it. I feel it.
I think
like
it's
literally, I
exciting.
feel it.
Yeah.
But I also can't say the science part of energy not going anywhere. Maybe it just gets recycled.
Right.
Kind of makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It does. Your body turns into mush and oil, and
Your
rest of
energy
you-
goes somewhere else.
it turns
Where does
into
your
heat.
soul go?
Yeah, it turns into heat and dissipates into space.
Okay, but without your soul, you're basically just a
That's a
fucking
made-up thing.
body of mush.
It's not a made up thing.
Right.
He says it's a made up thing because I think your soul is the energy.
Yes.
Well,
Not,
You can.
you can believe that if you wish.
You like in my next life. I want to come back as a fucking domesticated cat
Well, you're not gonna.
with money. I'm just gonna sleep all day.
You're just not gonna.
How do I know?
I know.
Nice. You know, but I'm pretty sure that
And
I
by the
have
way,
lived.
The 1350s was a great time. So
Nice.
you don't
See?
even what was going on in the
Fucker.
1350s, Eric? What was going on then?
I tell you, we were burning wood
Wrong.
by the cord
Wrong.
to stay warm.
You don't even know what a cord was. What?
Oh yeah,
Wrong.
I know what a cord is.
Not in the 1350s.
Oh yeah, we were cutting down them trees by hand. Had to dry it out for 2 years because of the winters up here. It was bullshit.
Couldn't
I'm
wait that
saying-
long.
Period.
Yeah, I had to.
People, you know out there that you have had dreams and feelings about other times that you're like, I am sure
I was gonna say
that I
God's
was there.
Fucking wine is great.
It is. It is
Glad
very
I
good.
turned water into wine.
Nice. Wow.
There he goes with his God complex,
Jesus
which is
complex.
actually fake,
Hey.
but it sounds super real and is annoying because
you know,
it sounds super real.
you ever heard that fucking song, Joan Osborne? Mm-hmm. You know, Stranger on a Bus. That could be Eric. We don't even fucking know.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, we'll
but-
play it.
But I'll tell you something, but I don't remember what it was.
All right. So,
awesome.
anyway,
So let's
Scientology.
move
As
on.
we were moving on, sorry,
So-
folks, we've been totally off
Part
track.
of Scientology, which I learned earlier before this thing out, was the reincarnated lives.
Yeah.
Which does interest me.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't really
Is that
believe-
hopeful though?
Before it was, but
Okay.
now in the recent years, after learning more about the science and how energy works, I
think you're
it's-
missing some of the energy stuff though, the transference.
No, I get the transference.
Because you can't come back as the same thing. Energy changes.
That's the thing,
thing.
and that's why we don't remember
Our previous lives.
because energy
okay.
changes.
It changes, but it doesn't go backwards. Like so as a very simplistic process, take sunlight, radiation gets to this planet. We have plants that transfer that into nutrients and energy that the plant uses, releases oxygen, things like that. You consume that. You've changed that energy into an energy that your body will use. And then you change that energy into a waste material and some other form of energy that gets dissipated off. And one of those things is heat. That just goes away unless something absorbs it and changes it again, which what the plants do from the sun. But we don't produce that kind of level of energy for something to absorb and use anything for. And then everything else is just, moves away. Well, then, our waste can, be nutrients for plants, but
Right.
ours doesn't work as well that way. But
well,
you kind of get the
it
point.
does if you don't fucking toxify it like we do.
Right. But you get the point. Things alter that way, and it just keeps diminishing as you go. Well, if that's following suit in a very generic way here, when you pass on, your body will then decompose into a carbon material, water, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the rest of your heat energy that dissipates off just doesn't get absorbed anywhere. It just disappears.
Do you really believe we're just heat energy?
No, we're more than heat energy. We're electrical and stuff like that. But once your body stops operating, that electrical energy is not produced anymore.
Where does the electrical energy go, though?
That's produced from the chemicals in your body. And once your body shuts down, those chemical reactions aren't taking place anymore.
Do you really believe everything you are and everything you feel that you are, like feelings inside and everything, is just produced on the electrical energy in your body?
Electrochemical energies, yeah.
Electrochemical.
That's it.
Right.
That's all that's happening.
Even your
No.
no.
That's it.
No.
That's okay.
This
This is where
your personality is built.
that's your
on,
brain process.
right? Because it's not only because of what you were raised
But
and
your
brought up
brain, in that sense, would be a blank slate.
And
so
what
why would you be unique?
the things that you're attracted to, Elvis, for per se.
That-
why are you
That's learned.
attracted to that?
That's learned.
That's
Right.
right.
But what makes us unique if that's all that it is? If it was the same electrochemical thing, what makes us unique?
Great question. As you were pointing out, Cheryl, the things that you like, that you're attracted to, that has to do with nurture. Okay, the things that you're raised with come around to things you choose to like, dislike, and there are variables above and beyond it that we can't say attribute to somebody's choices that way, and for others maybe they contribute a lot. We just don't know because there's too many variables. That comes down to perception.
Me?
No,
The
what you're saying.
electrochemical,
Yeah, when you're
which
saying
is
if
what
we're
you're
all
claiming.
the same. No, that's all the same. But you're exposed to the same thing I'm exposed to. Your perception of it is different than mine.
No,
That-
shouldn't be. If it's electrochemical,
No, but
nope.
it is. That is what changes things. Has to do with where we started, what we came to. How do two kids in the same household, exposed to the exact same thing, see it in two different ways?
In a scientific experiment, that wouldn't be possible.
It is possible
No, it's
because
not.
there are variations that are so minor involved in there. You can't say how you would perceive it to how I would perceive it.
No, but that means the electrochemical responses that you're perceiving would be the exact same as your parents. And the reason your perception is different because your parents are two different people. They're unique
Yes,
because
because
of some unexplained variable
Like
that
what?
we can't pinpoint.
Like what?
Personality.
Think about that. Are you exactly the same as your parents or your sister?
Hell no.
No.
And I'm just talking about material-wise.
Right, material-wise, no.
Not at all.
we're not.
Those variations could be the factor that changes your perceptions.
I call bullshit.
Nice, right? Because there are bands that out there that I liked
Okay,
that
and
Jenny
you're
fucking
talking
hated.
about it, and you're talking about an outside source. Okay.
Yeah.
And which is fine.
Or
That's not a bad example.
things
But
that-
to think about the chemistry that makes you and her derive from the exact same people.
Yeah,
But things that you intake affect you differently than what she intakes.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you are so unique on those minor levels. Even things you intake through your eyes could be processed different in your mind.
I can't accept
things
that.
that I shouldn't even be attracted to. I am attracted to
Mm-hmm.
Janis Joplin. Never in my fucking lifestyle.
Right.
My parents never listened to her.
Right.
Neither, both my dad, both my mom, Jenny, anybody in my lifestyle never ever listened to her. When I listened to her, I was instantly attracted
Right.
to her.
And it just-
Why?
Because of what is put together in your mind.
I
Lifestyles.
I
I don't
understand
do
what
that.
Eric is saying.
I
I totally
I do too.
understand what he's saying, but I can't get on board.
And I understand that, and like we're talking about all this, and there's not a right and a wrong. It's just really what we believe, which is another way of an example that we prove that there's differences. We've talked about this in the past about psychotics, murders, Jeffrey Dahmer, things like that. If they produce several children, how do one of them become that way?
Right.
Raised in the same household,
Right.
because their perception of whatever was going on
Was
drove
different.
them to take things in a way that drove that behavior.
And you don't think that has to do with anything with a past life experience?
I can't say
won't-
that.
he would never be able to say
No.
that.
No, I
because of his
can't
beliefs.
perceive that. It
Right.
just
Okay.
you were created. You're going to live. You're going to die. That is it.
You don't believe in any kind of recyclization.
Unless you were planted underneath the seeds for another tree, you're not reincarnated in anything.
Okay.
You're just not going to return.
What if
as
a
another
bird
being.
swallows your seed and takes it 100,000 miles away and poops it
Well, I
out?
have a vasectomy, so there's no seed coming out of me.
I get it, but you understand
For a guy that maybe could inseminate, he would eat the plant. Boom, it goes.
Yes,
No, it just
absolutely.
like the plant. There's certain plants that they get reborn every year, perennials. It may not be the same. My left ear went out. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what happened. Okay, did that happen to everybody?
No,
Yep.
no,
Okay.
you're
It
fine.
actually did.
No, I didn't hear it.
So anyway,
It's the peak on the equalizer. Just-
okay, all right. So like the plant, when it dies and it comes back, a plant is a very simple organism. It's not the exact replica of what it came from. So, how is that electrochemically appropriate? Like,
Yeah.
does it lose energy? Where does that energy go? It's not heat mass because there's heat mass. goes in the ground, heat mass again.
Yeah.
It's the same appropriate amount for the plant to grow.
I 100% believe in reincarnation.
Oh, I know
I'm
you
sorry.
do. I
Yeah.
know. But like what Eric and I struggle against is, the really highly scientific part in recognizing into, the religious part, which Eric has no problem disregarding, but, can't say that, he admits I can't prove that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I find it a very easy thing, and a lot of people don't.
But you still can't prove it.
I can't prove
But
it.
you'll believe it blindly.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
I
but that's,
won't
and
believe it.
I'm not saying that derogatory
No,
or in a
you
negative.
did, because mentioning that it's blindly is actually kind of
Well,
derogatory.
I'm not trying to say it in a negative light. That's really what you're doing. And it's okay to accept that fact. It's not a problem. When you say I believe this in a faithful way,
I
you're just
find a
believing
path.
it. There's no evidence you can reproduce to say this is accurate.
No.
So it's okay.
I can find it in my mind. I can find an accurate path from science
But
to religion.
but in your mind is not factual. It's,
No,
that's
you're
what
right.
you
There's-
believe. So
right.
it's just believing it blindly.
But
And
it's
I'm
the
not
same
trying to
thing
say
with
it
you.
in a negative fact.
is you believing in the purely scientific, believing it blindly.
Right. There's no proof. It's not blind belief. There's nothing to
And
to prove
Cheryl
this
being
or that.
highly religious, right. So believing it blindly is actually kind of a really derogatory term.
Right. It sounds negative, but it's really
Right.
just saying
Right.
I have
Okay.
faith.
I'm not offended by that term. Yeah. You know what? I'm not. I don't actually take it as a derogatory term because I'm not offended by it. Because if that's what makes me go on living my life the way that I am, being happy, being completed, being okay, I'm good with this. And even if I am wrong, I'm okay with that. I'm really
Eric
okay
says
with that.
he's okay with being wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I can guarantee.
I'm living my life to the way that I feel would be good. I'm okay with that.
You're comfortable with it,
Yeah,
and that's fine.
absolutely.
And I can guarantee everybody on this planet, someday you will find out if you're right or wrong.
Yeah, and I
Guarantee
don't.
it.
And I don't feel that I need to push that.
And that
Onto anybody.
is something
Yes.
personally I appreciate in
Yeah,
people
yeah.
with their beliefs. I don't care
Yes.
how hardcore in what you believe in. Just don't push that crap on me. If I'm
Yes.
interested, I'll ask you questions. Don't try to convert me because then I'll punch you in the head. Not really,
Right,
but
right.
here's a blind belief. I believe my glass is going to get filled up again.
Nice.
Nice.
I mean, my thing is the end is, yes, I do hope to see, you on the other side, whether you believe it or not.
Her,
No, I'm talking about you.
me, I won't be there. There's no
Well,
other side.
God is forgiving, whatever. The higher
What are you
power.
saying? I need to be forgiven?
No, and that's my thing is that I need to retract that because that's not my perception that I need to portray onto anybody. Is that you know what? I'm happy believing what I'm believing. You're happy believing what
But
you
that
believe.
is what you believe. You don't need to
Exactly.
retract that. That's what you believe. That's
Yep.
perspective you have, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to retract that, and people don't need to respect that if they don't wish. But that's where you're coming from,
Yep.
and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And not I'm not trying to be argumentative, but just in the comparison that I have, that's just not going to happen. That what your afterlife visiting thing to me, that's it's lights are out, they're out. So
That's disappointing. But don't say that.
and I don't say that
no.
to mean it in a excuse me, one burp. I'm not saying that for it to be disappointing or negative
Right.
or to crush what you believe. That's what my perspective is. And
And there's
I
really
can say
nothing-
Jen has a similar
I
belief
will
as
say-
yours.
I will say my opinion. You don't
Yes.
have to
I
say it for
in my
me.
from my perspective, I think is the
Okay.
same, similar to Cheryl's. There's something like that.
It's a
to
little
take
different,
place.
which I think is interesting because this is probably the first time that we've gone round table here and
Yeah.
have all had different perspectives.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have to think I've been, with you for 17, almost 18 years.
Yeah.
So this is funny too.
You are,
I recently talked to a friend of mine and he's very religious, very, and he was
Idiot.
contemplating. Nice, fucker. He's contemplating breaking up with his girlfriend, and he says, "Well, she's a non-believer." And I said, "Well, honey," I was like, "That's okay." I'm like, "I'm married to somebody that doesn't have the same beliefs that I do.
Yeah.
That's manageable."
Yeah.
Because he doesn't believe in this. I have my own beliefs. You have your own beliefs. And surprisingly, they all differ around this.
Even with the person you're talking with, my beliefs, who he's very religious.
He's extremely religious.
I'm semi-religious. I wouldn't say I'm like devoted and I go to church every day.
Right?
Devout. You know, I have my own.
That's the drunk devoted word.
Yes.
Devoted.
Yes, devoted.
Hopelessly
Devoted to you. Okay, so anyway, I'm not as religious as he is.
Right.
You know, the person that we're talking about, but and I think that would be an issue. But I'm not going to hold it against him because I have my own beliefs, and my own beliefs are my own fucking beliefs.
Right.
You know,
right.
I don't push that.
Nice,
whatever.
Eric.
Dang.
Let's just be clear. I believed my cup was going to get filled with wine again,
And
it
it
happened.
did.
And it's
And
red
guess what?
wine.
Because it's in his control.
That's right.
It's the body of blood and the body of Christ.
Christ.
I
Nice.
changed this water into wine.
Christ compels you.
The body of Christ. Yes. So anyway,
An
no.
old priest and a young priest.
Yes, like you were saying, is I get it, you know, but I can feel where religious beliefs might come a factor when you're that heavily believed, you know.
But there are times that I'm like, I wish Eric would believe more, or at least be. But I've come to the fact that I'm like, okay, he's not like that, and that's okay. And I, as a spiritual person, which is no longer religious, I don't believe in any particular religion. Just doing the research that I have with the higher power over the world. I don't believe in chaos, which Eric does. He will deny it. But his version of science and whatever, there has to be some kind of chaos involved for things to happen the way that they do.
Okay.
There's an order and a reason.
That's her opinion, by the way.
Yes, it is. There's an order and a reason to the way things work.
Okay.
You know, why a bumblebee can fly.
Yeah.
Why there's
It
so
has
many.
wings.
No. The weight proportion versus.
They're very light.
Okay, there we go. Anyway, there's a lot of scientific things that I can't explain versus what I
can.
see. No, you can't.
I'm listening.
You got it,
I
right?
hear you.
You got it,
I hear
right?
you. Yes.
There has to be some kind of organization.
There's about 10,000 questions.
And so
Yes.
whatever that organization that is, whether it comes from a single being or a power or whatever, maybe it's a source, I don't know. Maybe the Greeks were right and it's several.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Maybe they were white.
White boy. Maybe it's just orbital
That's
fucking
what she
component.
said. It was an accident, but that's what she
Because I
said.
forgot the R.
That's
I was
the-
going too fast and I forgot the
She's
R.
drinking white wine. That's the problem.
Drinking right wine at this point.
I had to point out, it was so funny.
Oh, fuck.
Maybe the
now
Greeks
we've-
were white.
now
I mean,
we've
right.
just lost 30% of our fucking listeners.
Like delete.
Thanks. Yeah.
Delete.
Delete. Done listening.
They'll be back by the end.
Nice.
They'll
Yeah.
get over it.
But no, I want to hear. Yeah.
So it's like the higher power that everybody's always believed in. It's like there has to be some kind of organization. Something has created this. There is a maestro to this concert.
Yeah.
You know, and
agree.
Eric doesn't believe in it, which I understand. But I also have to understand that this person, thing, beings, organism, whatever, is forgiving and can understand that and encompass all.
Yeah.
So
Right. And I do question this chaos. How could just massive chaos create all of this to where the sun orbits the moon orbits the earth? How?
The sun doesn't orbit the moon.
No, I'm saying it's just random.
don't ask
just
him. This will
that
be
random?
like a 2-hour-long conversation.
Okay.
If you
I'll,
ask him.
I'll just sum
Yes.
up this, and then we'll get on to the Scientology.
Okay.
I don't believe in a chaos as Jen's describing. I believe that there is organization, and there are things that take place because they work that way.
And what made them work that way?
We, as human beings, don't necessarily know them, can explain them, and understand them. But it isn't because it doesn't work that way. It's just because we haven't gained that knowledge. We are in one small space of a vast universe. And the furthest things we see are billions of years in the past that haven't even caught up to us yet
Or
because of the
future.
way things
What
travel.
about future?
No, it's the past. It's far away. It's getting to us. That timeline is well in where it's at. We are in our now, and when we look in the stars, we see the past because that light hasn't gotten to us yet. So whatever's there has been done for millions of years. It's changed already. We just don't know.
But when we see something that happens now, isn't that the future?
That's for us here. The things that we see in a distance that are light years away, you have to understand, if something happened 5 light years away, that's 5 light years worth of time in the past that took place. And for our now, that now hasn't even gotten to us yet. So we don't know what's where and how it is.
But isn't that still our future? Because we need to explore
Our
that.
future is nothing that we can see in from that distance.
Okay.
It's a, and we don't want to get into the whole
it's a
scientific
losing
thing
battle.
about here.
Yeah.
It's just there is organization to everything. As you pointed out, we have a central point in our solar system, and that's the sun, and things revolve around that. We as an Earth, we have something revolving around us. We have other planets that have several things revolving around them. You get down to the smallest level, we have atoms with things revolving around them. It's all organized in a way for it to work and to function. And how far back that goes to a starting point, there was organization to it. What it took and how it happened, the theory is the theory, but it doesn't mean it didn't have the control of a higher power, and it doesn't mean that it didn't. We just don't know that. And when I hear somebody was in control of this, you're talking about something with a mind of capability. Well, who created that then?
That's what. Maybe there's a higher power above that.
Okay, so
We don't know.
Who are we?
So that's a whole other dimension.
Exactly,
That you
and we
won't know
still,
until you get to
maybe,
that level. you
Maybe
know?
not.
If
we,
you ever
we just
get there.
don't know.
Right. We don't know.
So at what point do we start breaking these lines? Is Scooby-Doo better than Daffy Duck? Why are we complaining about Muhammad and Jesus? It doesn't matter. If you're going to
We
believe
shouldn't be
that,
so narcissistic.
absolutely.
It's pretty much what you're
And
saying.
you've explained that already. It doesn't matter what the hell that stuff is. We don't need to push our side on our beliefs onto the other people. And from my perspective, I can't believe any of it because there's just no facts behind it, and there's nothing I can work on to find information to say, yeah, that works, that's right. It just doesn't exist.
So going from that, jumping into our actual topic, so now you're having L. Ron Hubbard
Correct.
speaking right back in the 1950s, who was a fictional writer that actually specialized in space and like these topics, right? Like, so his mind was so out there, pretty much, I guess, maybe seeking for a higher power, and that's where he excelled at. And now all of a sudden he started writing these books about what he believed in. I'm wondering if he contracted syphilis in the 50s
Yeah.
and maybe didn't. I mean, same thing with Napoleon.
Dynamite?
No,
No,
not dynamite, like actual Napoleon. Like all of a sudden he started kind of believing his own shit.
Yes. So did
Right. So
Hitler?
he was a fictional writer
Yeah.
that started writing these books, and he was like, maybe he thought through his writing somehow that it has expanded his mind into the universe, into the higher thinking. We went pretty freaking vast there. It's not easy to think somebody that spent that much amount of time was able to go further.
Right. And just amongst the three of us here, we've gone to that ground level of beliefs as an individual to the vastness of the contemplations of universe. I mean, we've done
Versus
that just
science and space.
right, and that's just the three of us here with
Right.
with different beliefs and processes, and yet not denying one another that there's accuracies and inaccuracies.
Right, right.
There's nothing wrong with that. So, as you're explaining this guy, L. Ron Hubbard, believing all of it, or possibly believing, we don't know, in writing out his thought process and his beliefs.
And he was a very successful writer, which he knew at the time in the
Right.
50s because he had already produced all these writings.
Correct. And
Yep.
and so
Feeling
in the
that
comparison,
he could get this word out. And,
right. in the comparison to Napoleon, and all of a sudden starting to believe he's got this connection of being able to produce accuracies to
Between the science and religion.
right, the
is what
religious
so he's trying to
perspectives.
pull those two together.
Right. And so he's coming up with this. Okay. Fantastic. Wonderful.
And he comes up with these theories, and
These
he's
theories,
like,
right.
"Oh, this is right. That oh my God, I've just hit a jackpot," and he starts writing about it.
Right. And the other balance is maybe he was that crafty to know how he could suck money out of people.
I don't necessarily.
And I'm not saying that
and
was
I get
I'm
it.
just
'Cause
saying
when I
there is
first
that
heard
side
about
of the
him,
fence.
when I first heard about him, that's what I thought. But after actually watching him in many videos, I kind of think he believes his own stuff.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, there is that aspect of it. I kind of just lost my thought there. I mean, yeah, we can look back and say, you know, this guy really figured out how to scam people out of money. But in seeing the small clips in the show that we watched of him speaking about it, he had a sincerity in what he was believing,
Hugely.
but
yes.
not obviously knowing him on a personal perspective. We don't know. That's a corkscrew.
Oh.
I knew you recognized that
I was
sound.
like, what is that
Wine,
noise
wine,
going
where's the
on?
booze?
That's not, I was like, what is that noise? What is hissing?
You know, you can't take away that the guy had an obvious belief, a core belief in what he was writing about and doing. On whether he believed in himself or not, he just believed in what he was doing. And you can't deny that fact. I mean, we bringing in the extremists that do the suicide bombings, those guys believe some serious stuff. And you can't deny them that fact, to the point that they're willing to do what they do in that destructive fashion. I mean, that is something it's unbelievable to believe something that strongly. And this guy, you know, obviously he didn't ever get to that, but he had either a belief that strong in that, or he was just that nuts, and we just don't know.
Well, if you watch his videos, you can see that he actually seems, at least, I don't know if
Genuine.
he was that charismatic, but he seems genuine to believe what he does, but he also kind of comes off as like a kind of nutcase.
A little bit crazy.
Now,
A little bit.
Yeah.
in the 50s, I can't actually say if that's how, I mean, even if we showed it to your dad or my dad today and being like, what do you think of this guy? They would have a skewed vision on it because of their, recent.
Their connection with that time
Right.
frame.
It's like, I want to know what people thought in that time.
And that's the thing, is that like our beliefs now, I can totally relate to back then, where it was a huge like striving point where we're like, hey, 50% of the population should just walk into the fucking ocean. That's kind of where he was coming from, is like, hey, we kind of have to create this.
Like he kind of had this
Nazi
worthless view of expendable
humanitarian
people.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Right.
Like these
well,
criminals.
now that I can get behind.
Right.
I can
So
too
it's
now,
I can too
but
now.
he had this weird. Like,
This was back in the 50s, where
like,
people
he-
didn't
he
even
spent-
think of that at the
right.
time.
He
So-
spent so much time in science and sci-fi
Yeah.
and humanity that he kind of had this like weird angle in the 50s that nobody else did.
He was probably
He was
50
thinking
years
ahead.
ahead of his time.
But at the same time, it was still based on science fiction.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
The hand peering over your head is very helpful to the listeners.
I'm sure they could see this YMCA.
Right.
No.
So a lot of people attached to that, though, back in the 50s, because, I mean, we can attach, we would attach to that now.
We were just talking about he was charismatic. He was smiley. He had
If
this
somebody were to come with
weird
that
face
now,
to us today, but back in the 50s, maybe they liked that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
right.
kind of like teeth didn't give a fuck, it's kind of
Right,
like,
it's
eh.
kind of like
you
weird.
know,
No,
with the
if somebody
millennials
were-
nowadays, somebody could probably get away with it.
But say a whole new religion were to come now and be like, hey, 50% of the population should just walk into the fucking ocean and just don't stop. We would be like, hey, I'm on board,
For a reason different than probably what they're preaching, though.
Right, but back in the
WIO,
50s,
walk into the ocean.
right?
WIO.
Back in the
Let's go.
50s, there was maybe about maybe 17% of the population was like, I get it. Maybe
Right.
even 5% of the population, and it just kind of built from there. So I'm not against it. his beliefs, I understand it back in the day and the age. I still believe it's kind of a Hitlerish kind of way of thinking.
Well, it became that, but that's really because of what he believed with his science fiction. You know, he spent so much time in the clouds, and then he was trying to relate it to science.
Hands above head.
See, I'm talking with my hands, and I shouldn't be, but I am.
But now,
So Scientology.
Yes,
the whole
let's-
Scientology now with fucking David McRave, what the fuck is his
Miscavige.
name? Miscavige.
Or was it
Scabby?
Miscavige? Is it Miscavige? Is that how you
Miscavige.
pronounce- Yeah, Miscavige.
David Miscavige.
Miscavige. So basically,
Miscavige or something. I don't even know.
Elron in his later years became sick.
Yes.
And he was very sick, and he relayed on Miscavige.
Miscavige. What the fuck is it?
Miscavige.
No, she said
Where's
it.
the word?
Here it is. She said it the other day. Leah Remini. David Miscavige.
Miscavige. How many times do I need to say it until people believe me?
It's
Miscavige.
Is that what she said?
That's what they fucking introduced them as.
I thought it was
Miscavige.
David
We can
Miscavige.
go with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'll go with Miscavige, douchebag, whatever.
Miscavige.
Miscavige.
Okay.
Anyway, so Miscavige was close to him. Other people were close to him. Miscavige pushed all the people in his sicker years away. There's a debate on his will, whatever. We can research that later. Miscavige took power. And all of a sudden, things started to change. It became a big corporation. You know, they're charging people. Well, even in Elron's age, they're charging people for levels.
It is David Miscavige. Miscavige.
David.
Miscavige.
Miscavige.
No, it's not
MIS.
Miscavige.
Then
It's-
fucking put it on Google then.
I'm doing it right now.
Doing it right now. Because in the show, they're calling it Miscavige.
No.
Yes, they are.
Edit this out.
Can we just call him queer face?
Queer face. There we go. I can do that.
Bucket head?
Yeah, there we go. Buckethead.
Bucket head
What's
motherfucker.
Snoop Dogg's here? His slut cut bucket mouth
Bucket
motherfucker. One of my favorite lines of 2016. Could have
we
been
have
50
volume on
for
this?
all I know. Yeah, you got volume on there.
David Miscavige.
Miscavige.
That is not what they said on the show.
David Miscavige.
Miscavige.
No,
Close
it's
enough.
not no.
David Miscavige.
Miscavige.
Jenny. You're not saying it right. It's David Miscavige.
Whatever. I don't
Well,
fucking care.
Look it up if you want.
Whatever that cocksucker's
Watch the
name
show
is.
and
Watch the
interpret as
show.
you wish.
Correct me, make 300 comments about how I was wrong. I don't care.
Yeah, if you can spell it correctly, good enough for you.
I think I was saying Miscavige. No, you were saying Miscavige. I was saying
Leah
Miscavige.
Remini said it is David Miscavige.
Well, next week we'll hear
No.
her say it again.
Okay. Next week we'll confirm that. Anyway, fuck our drunk asses. Whatever, correct us. So
DVM. There we go.
this
Just
guy
say-
DVM took over, pushed everybody else out, and he, became
Yeah.
the head.
Yeah.
And all of the people that had quit, like before that, had been silent, pretty much. I mean, they maybe did like one or two interviews, but it was very quiet. Nobody really knew about it until Leah Remini blew the fucking roof off. She blew the roof off because I guess it's not only that she is highly recognizable, it's that she was in the religion for so long. Kind of like Tom Cruise. She was even
She was
younger.
like 29 years, was it?
Yeah.
Something like that. She was as a child.
Right. So like from 4 years old or something like that. I remember doing the math the other day when I watched the show.
Yeah.
I
Very
remember,
young.
Yeah, she
Very
was
young.
like 4 years old when she was introduced to it or brought to it.
And she used her career as a
Projection.
celebrity to talk about it. And they show like snippets in the show about her talking about it. And she really believed in it. And then 2003, she started asking.
2013.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. 2013, she was asking questions.
About his wife, Shelley.
Well, it's not only that; she was asking other questions too.
Okay.
Yeah, the series starts where she was asking like, "Why isn't Shelley here at Tom Cruise's, like, why are you asking about the head of our religion's wife?
Right. Yeah.
She was like, what? I'm just asking about another human being.
They still
So-
haven't really cleared that story up. I mean, in the press it says she's okay, she's fine, but
We don't
why
see her
isn't she in
ever.
there? Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like a Mormon.
This is the first time I've even heard of that guy being married.
Yeah.
They're going to find her in a box in a hole somewhere.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead of anything here, but we've learned that the guy's rather abusive
Yeah.
to staff members and whatnot.
Very
throwing
much
punches,
so.
beating people up, things like that. It wouldn't surprise me if he's killed somebody.
Yeah. Well, even in this press thing that I read.
Where's that from, Cheryl?
It is from
Where's the website?
Vanties.
Well, if you read the address bar right up here.
Oh, Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair.
Back in
All right.
2004. Okay.
2004.
So it kind of told a story about, Remini asking about where Shelley is, and they kind of went on and said Shelley's okay. Yes, it is an abusive relationship. Blah blah blah. Is she an ex-wife? And he's like, no, she's fine. Blah blah blah. Goes on and on.
2004.
2014. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
14. Okay.
But as the
An
article,
accountant misses a 1.
yes. Sorry. Okay, so as the article goes on, there's this very important part, which I just fucking had.
We are so scattered. I have to
Yeah,
apologize
Eric,
because
you're
we are
in-
all really
I'm not fucking sorry.
drunk.
I'm producing this shit. I don't care.
Nice.
Nice.
Eric is just going to have to edit this shit. So it
No
says...
editing.
No,
required.
no, he likes us being retards.
This is real.
It
It's
makes
reality.
it makes him sound better
What's the name of the show?
in the real.
In the
real.
goddamn real.
Right. So it goes on. There's a death, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God. Okay, so the important part that Vanity Fair points out is
Very
that...
scientific, important stuff. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So then in 2001, New Yorker published a story by Lawrence... Edit this shit out.
Enunciate your
There was
words
a
and
death?
slow down.
I mean, who was killed?
Exactly, I don't even fucking know. Hold
Nice.
on.
I'm glad we can hear you.
Travolta, Tom Cruise.
They're both involved. Travolta
They're
and Tom
both-
Cruise are both like the highest celebrities.
They're
that
both
they-
dead.
I don't know. All right, so beyond Cheryl's like things, let's go into Leah Remini's
Wait,
kind of.
I gotta read
okay,
this
all
part.
right,
Ooh.
read
Okay,
it.
So Vanity Fair said Miscavige is the anti-Hubbard with darty eyes, the bland good looks of a televangelist. He hawks the world of LHR, which is
Lee Ron.
L. Ron
Right,
Hubbard.
It's like Lafayette Ron Hubbard or something like that. Yeah.
With ruthless efficiency. By the summer, as a semblance of order had been restored, as Cruise had more or less rehabbed his image. When the tabloids exploded again, the story was Leah Remini, TV star best known as playing Kevin James' ballbuster wife in the comedy sitcom King of Queens. Remini, a Scientologist who was raised in the family of Scientologists, wasn't just another high-profile defector. She was a defector raising hell about the boss's wife. Or was it ex-wife, late wife, or missing wife?
Okay.
For
Interesting.
For decades, Shelley Miscavige had been the first lady of Scientology. Gracefully and smiling, she was always at Miscavige's side.
Got it.
During virtual every meeting, every trip, every photo op. Then in 2007, she was suddenly gone without a trace.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a win?
2007.
Where the fuck is that bitch?
I hope the last show next
Who
week.
the fuck is that bitch?
Who the fuck did that? Yeah.
I hope next week's last show that she does has some details about that.
I would love to hear. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking
Even if it's just
Twitter
questions.
Her. I'm gonna Twitter her.
Even if it's
tonight.
just questions about where this is, I hope there's data
Watch
presenting
her be
about that.
in his backyard somewhere.
So to catch the
Yeah,
audience up
fucking
with our
creepy.
drunken rampage,
Yeah,
we have
sorry,
watched
people.
all 7 episodes.
Yeah, we're just like
We're
psychotically
waiting for
intrigued.
for the 8th, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Waiting. Give me more. Give me more. Touch me.
Give me the last one.
So the whole thing. So we're going up to the L. Ron Hubbard, David What do you pronounce it?
Miscavige.
You were saying Miscavige, and I'm saying
Miscavige.
Miscavige, and you were like yelling at me. But okay, so
Just
we
call
got
him Dickweed and get it over with.
Dickweed.
Yeah.
DM. We'll just call him DM. So DM. So he took over and went through however many years. And the interesting thing that I found out is that like he really turned it into a corporation.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember seeing, what was it, the Jay and Silent Bob episode?
Which one?
Jay and Silent Bob, where they go and they like crush fucking corporate and they smash that big cow industry with the golden cow. Don't remember what fucking movie that's called. Totally making myself sound like an asshole. But that is 100% what this is.
I'm lost on
What
that.
Okay,
what
then.
movie is that from?
We'll figure that out at some point. I'm just gonna say straight out, when you come down to changing this into a business, I don't care what religious background that you want to have and believe. That's perfectly fine. But if for 1 second you don't believe that the organization you are belonging to, if you're belonging to an organization, is not a business, you're an idiot. Because it's all a business, and businesses need money because that's how they operate. People need to get paid. Things need to get paid for. Businesses do that. You can call them nonprofit, whatever, that's fine. The only thing that nonprofit means is they don't harbor their money. They have to spend it. That's the only difference. So whether it's paying employees, buying things, giving back to the community, which is what they're supposed to do with their money, they have to bring in money to do all of that, to put it out. Profit businesses just keep their money. It's the only differences. So churches, religions, nonprofits, sorry, they're still a damn business. Now, you're believing in what you're believing in off the side of that, which is fine. But the organization you belong to, it's a damn business. And just understand that concept. If you don't want to participate in that part, don't go there and give them money. Keep your damn money. They don't need it. Right. God doesn't need your fucking money.
No,
God
does him no good.
God has nothing to do with money. That's the thing. Yeah. In being part of a nonprofit organization, as a board member, as a significant board member, which made decisions, which ended up being more for profit than it did for the good of everything, I got kicked out. I got kicked out for asking financial questions about where we were spending our money. Yeah. And they were like, okay, bye.
That's where the heads of people are shits.
So the corruptness of nonprofits, to me, is very apparent.
Oh, absolutely. And I cannot disagree with that at all. The only difference between your situation you're describing and these other ones with churches and whatnot,
right, churches,
any one of them
is pretty much.
Yours was blindly in front of you because it was a smaller organization.
So I was right up at the top,
right in your face,
next to the top
versus
dogs.
all of these.
They
even though it's just as
and
apparent,
accountants and,
it's not presented as apparent.
Exactly. Even the board members are so far away from the actual numbers.
Yeah. Well, they know the numbers are there, but they have explanation on reasons of why.
Exactly.
You
saw that there was no explanation,
but not justifiable reasons of why.
And so I would ask, and they kicked me off the board.
And that's just the way that it is.
And fortunately, there's stronger laws coming into play about nonprofits, and I'm really hoping that it affects the Scientology part of it too, because these guys are making billions. Yeah. Billions based on this series that we saw on nothing.
Without a doubt. I mean, okay, if you take Christianity as a whole versus the individual denominations, if they're all reporting to the Vatican of Catholicism, billions of dollar business right there. Whether you take Presbyterian, Lutheran, Baptist, all that crap, that's Christianity. Huge money in that business. Huge money. And where is it based out of? Not in America. So what laws do that apply to the Vatican? nothing here.
Right.
What are they doing with their money? Mm-hmm. We don't know. We're
don't
never
know.
going to know.
And people don't care.
But the
'cause they're
businesses
like, it's
here,
for God.
the businesses here have to abide by it. But those businesses here have to kick up some of that to there. Where does that go? Now that's out of the hands of the U.S. government. So
Right.
see, it's a business, offshore business, man.
Pretty much.
Sons of bitches.
And they pump up their populace by giving them fake stats. You know, they basically cut Scientologists off.
Now that's the Scientology part you're talking about,
well,
right?
because I'm trying to bring it back to the Scientology part of it.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so they cut them off. They're like, don't look at the internet. You can't, do this. You can't do that, whatever. So they don't do it. It's like, that's like a no, almost Amish kind of perspective. Like, you just don't go there. And if you live there, if you live in the complex or you work for them, you are not able to see external sites that like negatively view Scientology. And then they have these big galas, and the galas are telling them like, we've helped 2 million children achieve like fucking A grades in all these dissipated, kind of areas. Like Detroit, in the third world, we've helped them so much. And so they really believe it. They're like so excited. They're like, yeah, oh my God, we're actually doing good in the world. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes down to it, you find out that it's not billions. It's maybe 12 people.
Right. Well, okay, so the movie reference that I was talking about is Mallrats. Just
Oh, wow.
saying. Yes.
Okay.
Mallrats. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that is.
What? Oh my God, that totally brings in the whole like golden cow fucking aspect of what Scientology is actually portraying in the real world versus what this movie is portraying in the movie aspect.
Someday I might have to watch it.
It's actually with Ben Affleck, your favorite actor.
That's my favorite actor.
Yes. Actor.
You kind of have a gay crush on
Yes.
him.
Yeah, that's what
Ben
it
And
is.
Affleck.
Jay and Silent Bob are in it.
Affleck.
So no, I'm telling you, it's a smoker like reefer fucking
Oh, yeah.
movie.
Just right up my
But
alley.
it is right on pinpoint of what Scientology, this whole fucking David Miscavige, was whatever the fuck his goddamn name is, what this whole portrayal is. Miscavige, whatever. You'll see it. It's kind of funny.
Dickweed.
This is
We're
what
referring to him as
Scientology.
dickweed.
No, it's all about the fucking money, dude. That's all he wants.
It's always about
People
money.
to buy books, resell the books, and then you gotta fucking build. It's just sick. Sick.
So what you're referring to, Jen, the cutoff from society and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it I have a very strong theory that religion was produced by governments of power
That wanted to control.
to control people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your royalty, your kingdoms, things like that.
Christianity was based on that.
Right, it was all based on things like that. And what did you have? You had the cardinal, the royal, whoever,
Yeah.
head guy shit. You had all that around, and
It turned into the Pope.
that turned right. And from my perspective on the reason why I believe it was driven from a lot of that to control the masses was because the people of power did understand if your community in mass turned against you, nothing's going to stop that. You will fail. That you don't have an army big enough to hold off the community.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to control people is through fear, but not fear you impose, fear they produce on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is for them just to put it in their head. And if you produce something, a higher power that you can't explain and have no control over will smite you, put you down, attack you for things you do wrong, above and beyond the control of your government, you're going to produce all that fear in your head. They're not telling you God's going to come down and kill you. You make that up on your own. You did something wrong, you were going to pay for that in God's eyes. Well, you're just going to produce that on your own. And back in those days, when you couldn't explain windstorms, lightning, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, those are the gods pissed. You did something wrong. how better to get people to be fearful of something that is not even anything to fear,
To keep 'em
just
in
to
line.
control you. How is it this guy isn't cutting off all the reality and getting you to fear what reality is supposedly supposed to be?
I kind of think that he's a little bit like Hitler, where he
Yeah.
believes his own bullshit. Like L. Ron Hubbard
Right.
believed his own bullshit. This guy took over and was like, well, I'm just going to tweak it. And I think he believes his own bullshit.
Well, I think L. Ron Hubbard had the thing about the news and don't associate with negative people. This is just taking it to the modern age,
Yeah, pretty much.
but it's along the same lines.
Yes.
And one of the guy, the Ringer guy, he was like, David Miscavige was like running out of things to produce as the OT level. So they were drinking a bottle of scotch, and he's like, yeah, he was running out of things to build, to entrepreneur, to
so
make
he
it to
gave
the
him
next
the
level.
assignment to create new levels.
Yeah, create new levels, to repackage
In this
the
religion.
whole-
Well, that's what those levels that weren't done yet. He was
Right.
like finishing them off or something like that.
He's
yeah.
like, we need to think about how we
He's
can.
just all greedy, greedy,
Right.
greedy motherfucker.
And he's super charismatic. Like
Yeah.
his dad said, he's super charismatic, which I agree with.
Yeah,
But he's basically like the modern day Hitler.
yeah.
And they're
sad.
becoming such a superpower where it's
Because
all of a sudden a
all about-
threat.
yeah, and it's
which
not-
is
it's
why
not-
it's in the news today.
And
I
the thing
guess.
about Hitler, it's not so much about a society; it's just about money. It's like you.
well, there's
these
power
people-
there.
right?
Power.
But it's like, how can these people that I can understand maybe the people that have, maybe they're higher on the tax bracket, they can afford these books. Every year you have to buy a new level of books, which costs about $50,000.
But then there's people that have nowhere to go
Right.
that enter the program, and then if they leave, they have like a $300,000 bill
And even if you stay in the program,
based on what the
don't-
religion has given you.
yeah, I couldn't afford fucking $25,000.
Can you imagine
books.
going to a church and being like, okay, this isn't for me, and then they go, oh, well, you owe us like $25,000.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
I'm sorry.
Isn't that like
religion-
college?
What? Yeah, it's like college. It's
Yeah.
literally like a college.
Yeah, but they're a non-profit organization. Oh, really?
Exactly.
Maybe they should.
Oh, really?
Right. Instead of a religion, maybe they should reorganize and say we're a college.
Yeah.
That's
just
well,
sick,
honestly,
Because that's nonprofit too.
Just the things that we've learned and seen recently, that's probably a better description of what they are than a religion.
And what is the big secret? Why can't they just let people go in peace?
Because they don't want them to talk.
About the horrible
If I've
things
been
that they
defrauding
learned?
you, if I've been defrauding you for any amount of time,
Right.
and particularly if it's been for many, many years and I've slowly been giving you more and more information about the situation,
Okay.
and you have somehow figured it out, the worst thing for me to carry on that strategy is for you to open your mouth.
Right, but if you're just a religion,
It doesn't matter.
let
Think of it.
go.
Think of how
know?
innocent Target stores are.
Okay.
If you knew, and I'm making this all up, so don't think I'm bashing on
Right,
Target here.
hypothetical.
Right.
Let's just say Target was often horses and dogs and offering that as red meat, and you knew that.
Okay.
The worst thing for them is for you to leave and start talking about that
Okay.
because you discovered it.
Right.
Well, if I slowly let you into that information, trusting you, and then you leave, it's still harmful to me if you share that.
Right. But even if you're a lower echelon of like the whole Bible study thing,
Right, but it's still
You're
going to
paying
be
your fees?
negative feedback that's going to affect me. And if my whole thing in success is to con you and to keep you in the dark, and for you
Yes.
never to figure out what the facts are,
Yeah.
I need to keep you in once I get you in.
I don't
And if you
get
think
it.
about all of the arrangements, a billion-year contract, come on.
Right. Like, really?
And if you leave, you're going to lose everything possible in your life, your family, your friends, your children, all this.
Yeah.
How this thing is so set up to not permit you to leave
pyramid
without a
scheme.
complete loss of everything you could possibly naturally care about. How is it not a scam?
Right. It's basically a pyramid scheme.
Worse than that.
Yeah. God, it's just so fucking sick.
And then
It's like
that's
if
from the
somebody
outside
want-
looking in, because these people, my gosh, they get in there, they believe it.
Any other religion that you know of, besides Scientology, if you want to leave, okay, go ahead, leave.
I was kicked out of my church.
Right. And did they chase you? Did they fucking watch you with cameras?
I think one time they had called
fucking
to
let 'em
ask me
go.
about stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I just don't go to church.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then the one time I called on them to want something from them, oh, you're not a member anymore. I'm like, what? I didn't realize there was an expiration on this. What?
Yeah.
Well, you don't attend.
Okay.
I didn't realize there's a requirement. Oh, there isn't. Well, then how is this a problem?
Yeah.
Well, you're not contributing to the church. So I have to pay money.
Well,
No, it's not a requirement. So
Right.
what the hell's the problem here? It made no sense.
Yeah.
The explanation was it's not a requirement for you to attend. It's not a requirement for you to pay anything. But because you're not contributing anything, we've dropped your membership.
Okay. But, I mean, Jenny,
But if it's not a requirement, how does my membership get dropped?
right.
There's no sense. That means because I'm not contributing, I am a drain of nothing. But because I'm not doing anything for you, you don't want me because you don't need me. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, but I mean, Jenny, if we were to attend our church that we went to when we were children, if anybody were to recognize us, they'd be open with, like, welcome arms.
Oh, I could
like,
show up to that
"Come
church and they
on
wouldn't
in."
say anything. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But my membership was canceled.
Which is why
Done.
we couldn't get married there.
Okay.
Lost services as a member of a church because my membership was canceled.
It's kind of bullshit. It's all bullshit. And
And
these
yet
guys just
nothing
have
was
the
required.
beat on it. That's the thing. The Scientologists just have a beat on it.
Right.
They keep their people from, the media.
Yeah.
And they tell them the media's bad or whatever. And these people believe. They drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
They drink the goddamn Kool-Aid.
It's just sick, dude.
It is.
They can't even go on vacation.
And that's
They
why
can't
Leah
have
is
fun.
so mad.
Yeah.
Because she spent so many years of her life believing this, and then she came to realize this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But she started asking questions.
It's a fucking basically
They were like,
money monopolizer.
right, you're a suppressive person. And she's like, I'm just asking questions, like
Yeah.
simple questions.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If you had walked into the Scientology place when we were downtown St. Paul, they would have kicked you out.
You can't be here.
I mean, at first they would have been like, oh yeah, come on. So you started asking questions, they'd be like, get out, you're done. No, we don't want you.
Yeah.
Because this is a business, and it's based on rules that
Right.
are very strict.
Right.
And they want a very strict, criteria of people
Yeah.
that will follow those rules and not look for external results.
So basically, it's incorporating the people that are not willing to separate, state from
Religion and science?
Yeah, religious and science. They're
They
just
want
like,
them to
well,
believe their religion and science, which is a, kind of melded version of L. Ron Hubbard.
Well, the separation from religion and state. Isn't there a separation between that, between monopolizing money and a religious you know what I'm saying?
I do, but I think the separation between religion and state comes to more legislature
Right,
thing.
yeah.
Is that more of a political thing?
Right, it's a
And
political.
I think Scientology fucking kind of defeats both of those.
I
There's
think
no
I know where
separation.
I think I know where you're hinting to
Okay.
that, but I don't. I think that's a little bit advanced beyond where we're at yet. Being the separation of state and religion is
Because they have
for them
they have tax breaks. They don't get charged.
right, but that's just for their taxation situation. You as a citizen, you are still responsible for your state stuff. They don't
Right.
you don't escape that
Right.
as a citizen just because that's your religion. Okay, unless you're employed by them, getting paid by them, all into them
And
don't
that's-
have a job because they're paying you $50 a week
Yeah.
and living in their establishments, well, you don't have an income anymore.
That's why David Miscavige was so happy when the government granted them, the IRS granted them no tax breaks. They
wonder.
don't. Yeah.
That you just
Well, so
give me
they
a
already
thought.
had tax exempt status, and then the government was like, "No, you guys are a corporation," and then they got tax exempt
That's right.
status, and like publicized, like we won the war.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stuff that wasn't
Yeah.
public knowledge.
Yeah.
It was revoked
Yeah.
because L. Ron Hubbard was using the money for personal stuff, which made it a business,
Right.
not a religion.
And then when they reestablish it as a religion, he went on stage and he was like, "Oh my God, we won the
Right.
war!" And the people just go crazy because that's the thing.
He
They
was
give
so
them the
fucking
stats,
happy, dude.
and I'm jumping way forward. I mean, we did not do this format like we did the
No.
Avery case.
No, we didn't
where we
at all.
did one for,
We're
it's
just dumping it all out.
dumping.
But that's why they were so fucking happy.
Like this, this is the I think 7th episode
Mm-hmm.
where they actually talked to the guy that was the producer of all of these events that they have to go to
5 a
it's
year.
mandatory
Mm-hmm.
to go to 5 a year, and everybody has to dress up in like their best shit or whatever, and they give these obnoxious stats which are inflated.
Yep, inflated. The guy even said inflated.
Extremely. Like he was like, so he's like, there may not be 12 people, there may be 23 or 27, and they say dozens, which
Yep.
technically, 2 times 12 is dozens, and then they give it to David, and he's like, no, we need it way bigger. So all of a sudden they're like
24,000
dozens or leans
Several.
or
Yeah.
reams of people, right?
Multiple.
Yes.
Multiple. So
Words that have no definition
and they
but say a lot.
create these crazy scales that make like it looks like
We
Scientology.
are the largest expanding religion of the year.
Which
Right.
doesn't
square footage wise.
right, which they don't tell them square footage wise.
We bought so many buildings.
which are empty. Because this
Empty,
guy
by the
visited
way.
them. There's nothing in them.
Yeah.
But yeah, square footage wise.
Well, that's why he was so happy, is because he doesn't have to pay taxes on anything that
anything
he fucking
now.
incomes.
Right. So he's like, we
fucking
won the
greedy.
war, and everybody's just going crazy.
Right.
Is
Not
that-
realizing that all of their money is going to him.
Well, because the
no
propaganda
tax
giving
exempt.
to them
Ugh.
is different than what the
It is so
company is
gross.
actually doing.
It is so
Right.
gross.
But that
Gross.
triggers a thought process. If you have a church and you are claiming
No tax.
70% of your, would they be considered constituents,
Yeah, because it's their tax
I
exempt.
guess. Yep.
working for you, and you're paying them, that's part of your nonprofit money going out. Well, they don't really know how much you're paying them.
Right.
They have fallen off the planet according to taxation because they really don't exist.
Yep.
But yet, through nonprofit, you're paying them in cash. And you're technically paying them $50 a week, but you could be saying you're paying them $50,000, $60,000 a year. And where's the money really going?
Exactly.
Not to them.
We're into his fucking
But we're
neighbor's
paying
pockets.
for this, we're paying for that, we're paying for that. So technically, we're paying them that much money.
It's so gross. It's so gross. It's disgusting.
Well, then at the same time, can you really say he didn't? They haven't found the right loopholes in the legal system to
Well,
pull
that's-
off what they're pulling off?
Even as a small
Right.
nonprofit, I worked for this small nonprofit, which I really believed in. That was like supporting, let's just say, horses, because that's what it was.
yeah.
But they're supporting a small little group of historical horses. But the person that was doing all of the work also had a group of horses that had offspring from this small little historical thing. So because they're considered a nonprofit, not only are we supporting 200 horses of our historical brand, but we're also supporting some of his horses, and he could just wrap it all in. They just encompass. Like, oh yeah, well these guys will
They're
eventually.
part of them.
They're part of them. which actually covers the fucking 600 horses that this guy owns,
Yeah.
into the nonprofit.
Can you imagine that 100 times fold?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that's what I started asking questions. Well, me and my friend, and we were booted out because of that. Why isn't anybody doing this to David? Because he's aggressive, because he punches people, which
Because it's been set up that way.
it's been set up that way. He's been very careful and he's very charismatic.
It was set up before him, though.
Are you sure?
Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard had that. You don't listen to propaganda. You don't listen to negative people, suppressive people. All that
Don't
stuff
you
was set
think
into play.
back there between the 50s, 60s, 70s. Everybody was just like, oh my God.
But who came to these people? Have you ever? I don't know of this, and I haven't watched. Well, I've watched all these things, but I haven't watched any other documentaries. Have you ever seen any stuff coming to you to be a part of Scientology?
No.
Oh.
No. Now, other religions, Jehovah's Witness,
Yeah.
door to door.
Yeah.
People of other churches, Baptist, Presbyterian, whatever, naturally just on the street and grow. I've been confronted in fucking checkout lanes.
I've been groped, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But Scientology, never.
Yeah.
And why? So the people going there, they want to go there.
Yeah.
They hear about it and they attract to it and they go. Nobody's pulling them in.
That's okay.
They used to be.
Only through, but now think back to those days of no social networking, electronic
Well, there used
stuff.
to be door checkers. They would go out and they would try to like give people pamphlets and talk about it and bring them in.
Yeah, the very basic
That's
stuff.
how they started
Sure.
in the early 50s, late 60s.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm sure that got a little tight after a while, but I mean, nowadays somebody comes to your door like that, you can be like, "What the fuck are you?" And then all these questions, and then there's more scrutiny, there's more analyzing, going on. That would be problematic.
But now they have like super powered kind of celebrities that they've had from
They've got
John-
promotional
really
departments
early
going
years.
on.
John
that
Travolta,
doesn't-
Tom
John
Cruise,
Travolta,
yeah.
yeah.
Been here for 35, 40 years, all my life. I mean,
And they
yeah.
used to have Leah,
Yeah.
and then she blew the top off it. That's the thing.
I love her.
She believed, I mean, she drank the Kool-Aid. She totally believed in this all of her life.
Yeah.
And then she started asking questions like you or I would as an intelligent person. And they kicked her. They were like, oh, you even see that in the first episode. They're like, oh, Leah, we don't believe her shit or whatever. And she was getting dangerously close to being kicked out
Yeah.
for asking questions.
Right. And that's the thing is like, okay, so that happens. Why not just let it go? Let the person go.
When I asked
You've already
a question,
fucking obtained about fucking what, $50,000 from the person, but probably more. Let it go.
but they want to keep them because of the money.
Why?
I don't
the
think it's the
money.
money.
You don't think so?
Nope. I think
Because of the
I think
secrets?
it's
The
exactly.
draw.
I
It's
think
the
it's.
draw?
I don't think it's the draw.
No?
I think it's the word of mouth, the information letting out.
Which is the draw.
Right.
No, the negative impact.
Okay.
Oh,
I
because
get
they're
it.
trying to prevent that.
Oh, I was telling her
But why are
like
they so harsh? Like they travel and they fucking seek and they fucking put these
to-
monitors.
it's a
like,
scare
let 'em go.
tactic. It's a scare tactic.
Okay.
Eventually, if you were in an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
and that's hard to get out of no matter who you are. But when you get to that point to leave, eventually all the stuff, material you ever cared about no longer matters.
Okay.
To the point where if it takes that stuff going with the other person, you will give it away to go. You don't care anymore about
Right.
that.
Right.
The only thing this organization has is information.
Okay.
And the information is either true or false.
Yeah.
And if they're going to get negative propaganda, that means it's false.
Right.
They don't want that. And the only way to stop you from producing that is to keep you scared
That's what I'm saying.
that
is-
I will destroy you.
Yeah. If they were all high and mighty up and up, why not just let them go?
Because if I just let you go and then you go speak your mind and I don't have control over that,
Yeah.
that could negatively impact me.
And if
But
it
if I
was all
keep you
false,
scared enough
yeah.
to not say anything, then you won't say anything.
But if it was false, hey, guess what? Just let it go, because the truth will reveal
if it's
itself,
false,
right?
you wouldn't care as you're describing it, and I believe that. Oh, hey, they're upset. That's fine. No big deal. Okay, but when negative publicity is not necessarily bad publicity comes into play, it's because you're in the paper.
Exactly, because it's true.
People see you, people
Yeah.
get your name, they don't really care about the negative, they move on. Well, when you're talking about an organization, billions of dollars, owns tons of stuff, has tons of celebrities, gets negative PR, questions start getting raised.
Yeah.
Are you really a religion? Are you
Right.
not? Where's your tax money? Where's your paperwork? All of this, all of a sudden, if you can't back that up and support that appropriately, you're going to have to prove some stuff you can't prove.
Right. Right.
And if that's accurate, the last thing you want is negative information going out. And how do you do that? Well, if you can afford to pay people to keep that from happening, you do that.
Yep, because it's all basically what they're trying to prevent is the truth from coming out. Because if it wasn't
and again,
true,
that's what we're assuming here.
right?
is
If
that's
it
what
wasn't
is.
true, they would just cut the person
let
loose.
them go. You
Let
don't want to
them
be
go.
here? Fine, move on.
Okay, cool. Thanks for your fucking $50,000.
I was kicked out of our church. I go
Boom,
around
done.
telling people God's bullshit.
Right.
They don't care.
It's like, let them go if you're a fucking religious belief.
If they were
But
worried
if
about
the
that,
shit
they
is
wouldn't have
not
denied me.
true, then you wouldn't be worried about it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
exactly what the fucking Scientology
But that,
believe
and that's
about.
what we can reasonably assume. And look at what we're assuming based on what this
we're
person's
saying.
saying, what they're saying.
Yep.
Which is what they don't want to have.
Right.
happen.
Right. Scientology is just let the shit go if it ain't true. Obviously, it is true if you're not sending out your fucking PIs and fucking tracking investigators. Something you must be hiding.
We got this guy, L. Ron Hubbard, wrote a bunch of books. Started in the 50s?
Yes.
I've always said, if I wrote a testament, buried it, and somebody found it in 200 years and started believing in it as a religion, it would become one.
Yep.
Not knowing if any of the shit was true or not. They couldn't prove it, it wouldn't matter.
Yep.
Well, here's this guy who made it in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Been practicing it in our lifetime.
Yeah.
No data one way or the other, but the claims that we're hearing, you could probably prove one way, which is a no. You don't want that out.
Died from a heart
Right.
attack. Just letting you all know.
No, he moved on.
Right. He decided
He
to
let
move
go
on
with
from
that
his
body.
Oh,
He's had
okay.
enough of his ships
Yeah.
and all of his money.
So he just died from a heart attack.
That's right.
Well, that's what she said. She's like, he made it seem like this big, he has expended his body.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, he died of a stroke.
Right. Because he wasn't living the healthiest lifestyle, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably not.
But they can't say
Smoking,
that.
drinking, hookers. Probably all caused
Mark,
the heart attack.
Mark Rinder, who
Yeah.
was his closest, this guy started the investigation of people. He started being in their faces like, why are you leaving? He started the surveillance.
Yeah.
He did all of this shit. And now all of a sudden he is
On
the
other
recipient.
side. Yep.
And he goes right into their faces. He's like,
I
what's
know,
your
I
name?
love it.
Who are you here? What are you here for? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like walking away and everything.
Right.
He's like,
We're
amateur. Because
TMZ.
this guy started the shit.
Right. He started the investigation.
So he
process.
like blasts him right. I love this dude, this
Yeah.
Mark Rinder dude.
He's a great guy.
He's insanely intelligent. I would hire him if I could afford it, which I'm sure I couldn't, to run a business.
Yeah. Leah Remini, will you make like 8 other episodes of this thing? Because
Oh
we
yeah,
are
do
obsessed.
a second fucking.
We don't even
series.
care
This is
if it's the same
oh.
repetitive
Keep
story
doing it.
from everybody else. We love it. We love it.
Put it in our faces.
Yes.
We love to
the
eat
public
it up.
needs this.
Yes.
Needs this to make a
So
movement.
we didn't even realize how big it was and how many people were brainwashed.
Yeah.
Until now.
Yeah.
And like she said, what religion makes you disassociate
Right, with your family.
from your family?
Fucking ridiculous.
Because they don't believe the same thing that you do.
I'm sorry. Hands down.
I don't believe exactly what you do. I don't believe what exactly you do. And I'm pointing people on the radio
Yeah.
to my sister and then to my husband.
Yeah.
Why would I ever disassociate from
my
either of you because
family?
I value
Right.
what you think and what you think, and I
Right.
can't be like you're a fucking idiot, you're a fucking
Right.
All
idiot.
that matters is what I think. So
Nice. And I know that you think that my friends are more important
Maybe you
than
should
my
be in
family.
Scientology.
But no,
I have my own religion.
family is fucking the most important thing.
That is the number one.
Right.
And it's number one because you have solid values, but to people that don't look at it that way, which now you look at this religion, that's taken away. Your family means nothing. Your parents, that was consequential.
Well, because the astrological thing that L. Ron went
Exactly.
to was like, you might have parents in this life,
So
but you'll have many other parents, so they don't matter.
right. So now think
Right.
about it. That is just another tactic of control. But if you want something of proof on how this is wrong, if you were looking for it from that perspective, these people have been coached, taught to believe family is nothing. And yet, when threatened with the loss of all of it, that means way too much to let go of.
Yep.
Yeah.
And eventually,
Sorry, Cheryl.
Sorry.
they turn over to that and go, I don't want to lose this. So
Right.
now I have to do what?
Stay
Hide
or
in
hide.
it.
Yep.
And I think that's
Sick.
the thing that Leah in her series really pointed out is that she has some high-powered people that have been in this organization for how many years? They have made it to the top. They had one lady that made it to the top level. You cannot get any more.
Right. That
right?
one lady.
So she's supposed to like move shit with her mind.
Yeah.
And she knows now she can't do that. And it's not that she wasn't good enough. It just, she realized she spent how many, amounts of dollars and money. And she lost her son anyway.
Yeah.
Because he's still in it.
Yeah.
And he had to disassociate from her.
Yeah.
Financially lost a lot, which
lot of money.
isn't the big thing in the world,
No.
but also everything else that mattered to
Everything
her.
else.
Yeah.
And she's like, so I'm the highest thing that you could get to. And
But yet I can't get to my
I
son.
can't get to my son. And that's all she wants in the world. And she is a pretty stable-minded.
And she's a suppressive person.
Yeah, she's a
Apparently.
suppressive.
Right.
And she seems like a very stable, caring person
Yes.
from what our eyes see.
Yeah.
And she just misses her kid.
Yep.
That's it. That's
So
it.
in the other Christianity, the other religions, imagine being God and not being able to associate with your son, Jesus Christ.
Right. Unless you had more money to contribute.
Unless you were stayed in.
Yeah. Like, how much money do you have to contribute until you're done? That's what I don't understand. It's like, you're.
But didn't she calculate some of that stuff out in the books and stuff that she put in?
it was
Like,
like
was it
50
like $250,000
she
or
said
something?
that
Yeah, $250,000, then another $250,000. So it was like $50 million,
$500,000.
$500,000.
Accountant.
Sorry.
which is $500,000, which is typical.
And then they're like, "Oh, I'm
because
sorry."
you'll go through so many levels, and then they'll be like, oh, there's another page we didn't
Right.
see. Or
Have to
they'll-
redo the whole thing.
They'll
So-
repackage a program, so they'll knock you down from where you
There's
were.
never a reaching that top echelon.
In the one lady that we saw, she reached the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me that woman would move shit with her mind?
No.
No.
Does she
is
seem happy? No, because
No.
she doesn't have her fucking child.
She's
because she decided to disassociate.
And she says this is a cult.
Fucking hate it.
She
dude.
reached the highest level. And that's the thing with Leah is like other people, they might interview like one or two people. Leah has interviewed all these people that hit like the highest level or people that were working very directly with David.
Yep.
And they all have the same story.
Yep. It's fucking sick. It's a sick story.
And now they have Scientology lawyer goes on national TV to slam Leah for the show on Annie that led to death threats against their leader David.
Oh, good lord. Do I feel so bad for him? No, I don't. Kill yourself, faggot.
That's funny. Led to death threats. See, now this is what's funny. This is called spinning stuff. So here we are talking about this. This gets put on YouTube. And if really they wanted to blow anything out of proportion, they say we caused somebody else to threaten their leader. How did we do that?
Right.
What influence do the three of us have on anybody to do something like that? If somebody chose to take anything we have to say to that level for that response, that's not our responsibility because we're not promoting that. I think we voiced more than once, believe what you want. We don't really care. Even if it's this, that's fine. We have our opinions about it. But we're not saying right or wrong here.
Even contradict us. We will happily
fine
enter
and dandy.
debate.
But if
that's
they were to take it to
respectful.
that level,
Yeah.
why would you be that defensive about it? Because this is negative PR?
Right.
Well, if you perceived it that way.
If that's shit that you just can't defend against.
Now, if you don't like the fact I'm going to sit here and say your religion's bullshit, well, that's my perspective.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there are some people that don't think that way. Tom Cruise. Well, if you really believe this stuff, I don't find you very intelligent. But more power to you. Whatever you want.
Here's actually, like, this is the media skew, right? I'm just going to read this verbatim so everybody can make their own decisions. That show, which has been featured, or which has featured former Scientologists who claim they were forced to get abortions and physically beaten by high-ranking church staff, have also reportedly led to death threats being made to the leader, David Miscavige. Miscavige, sorry.
See this tiny violin? Don't really feel sorry for him.
What's his name?
David Miscavige.
Come here, David. Lay down. I'll piss on you.
Right. Well, you feel a little sad there, David.
And you know what else?
Hey, you know what else? I couldn't get my peanut butter and my jelly. Fucking
And then they criticized
McDonald's didn't give me my French fries.
Well, they criticized
Fucking
Remini
favorite.
for making money off the show, and she's like, "I don't work for free. This is a very demanding job.
I don't blame her.
It's like I'm traveling around the country to meet former members and filming them so they can share their stories."
Yeah, I don't blame her.
There's no shame in that.
Here-
I don't
here-
hate no
that.
shame.
Here's the positive aspect to that. She was very forthright and honest about it. Of course I'm making money. What the hell do you think this is for?
Right.
And I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth, but I'm making money. Sure.
Yep. And guess what? My nails look awesome.
And she goes, "Hey, I'm not saying I'm the savior of your world. I have all the answers in your life." That was a quote. She's like, "I'm not saying that. It has nothing to do with that." So
Yeah, she's good. I like her. I don't
She's
care
I'd
what
fuck
she
her.
does.
nice,
Nice. No, but she has a very good message.
Mm-hmm.
She was
She-
in it for fucking how
She might have to
long?
dull those nails, though. They look a little pointy. I'd be afraid.
She's just hoping that somebody from the church is willing to be honest enough to say that what these people are saying is true.
Right.
So
Unfortunately,
she's
the
looking
lead-
for more people that are like, just tell your story.
Well, unfortunately, her dream's not going to come true with that, because if somebody of the church, a member of the church, was to come forward with anything like that, it would destroy the church.
Yeah.
You would never get somebody to do that.
But you have people that are doing that.
No,
Yeah.
former members. She wanted a member. You can't get a member to just come forward and say, "Yeah, we're full of shit."
Unless people happen to fall upon this.
But they
The
will be former
beatings
members,
of
though.
David Miscavige.
Even
Maybe
if
they have
were,
a Kindle.
If they were a true
David's
member
dad.
today,
Yeah. Right. David's dad was.
if they were a true
awesome.
member, came on her show and said, "Yeah, this is all bullshit," that religion would be over.
I think it's gonna implode itself.
I think
Well, it will.
implode.
Everything's going to implode itself on its own. That this is a business that's got a short life,
Yeah.
and that life's coming to an end at some point.
We're just gonna call it the golden cow for now until it fucking implodes itself.
We'll
on
call it the
fucking-
golden cow.
Yeah.
Sure goes into the Bible.
No.
She went to her movie.
We'll watch
so
that movie.
you changed the golden calf into the golden cow?
Oh, is it golden calf?
It's all
Sorry.
grown up now.
Golden calf.
Golden calf is in the Bible.
Yeah.
Don't worship false prophets.
Exactly. That's exactly my fucking belief.
Well, I'll say this. I don't know how much further we want to go on this, but I'll conclude with that David guy better be careful, because in the Christianity version of a lot of stuff, particularly your Catholics and whatnot. The head honcho of reality, which was Jesus Christ, eventually ended up nailed to a cross to prove something.
Yep.
So watch your back, man.
Exactly. You might want to be careful there, bro.
Somebody might want to try to prove something someday.
Adolf Hitler killed himself.
Yeah.
So, because
Exactly.
Napoleon had syphilis, so he
Yeah.
went insane.
Yeah.
And you are using the same cross-like symbol, quote unquote, in
Yep.
your religion. You might end up, stapled to one day.
Yeah, hanging from a cross, bro. Just saying.
And, shit happens.
Yeah. Be careful where you tread.
So cheers, because this was our drunk version.
Yes, it
We're
was.
all totally drunk.
Still, Leah Remini, you fucking rock.
Love you, motherfuckers who are still
Keep
listening.
on
I'm
going,
gonna-
girl.
I said listening
That's
because
the point of drunk right there.
I'm starting to get unintelligible.
Leah, keep another fucking 12 seasons going on.
Hell
We'll watch.
yeah,
I'm gonna
Leah.
Doesn't
say-
even
Love
matter.
I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna butcher the name, Leah Remini.
Yep, you didn't butcher it.
Hey, fantastic, sweetheart, come do our podcast.
Yes. We would
Come
love
sit
you.
here and talk to us about this stuff.
Yeah.
Don't do that because I'm not a lesbian, but I would totally make out with her.
I will
Just to make
videotape.
you get hot.
She is gorgeous. And
She is-
But for one, she's got a good message going on.
She's got an awesome message, and I want her to keep going.
Yep.
No, I'm serious. You can come to our house, sit down here, talk about your shit. Bring your your film crew. I don't care, and we'll share a bottle of wine. We won't get
Bring your
hammered.
makeup crew too, so we don't look retarded.
Nice.
I want some luscious, plump lips.
Nice.
Nah, fuck you. I'm talking about the women here.
Oh, okay. You can have
Me and
it too.
Cheryl. Want some professional makeupnism, so
Yeah.
we don't look so.
Mechanism.
Yep,
Leah,
makeupnism.
I've loved you all along. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Hated your
Sucking a
character.
cock here.
No,
Hated your character in King. of
I know
Queens.
you did, but
Just
I fucking
saying.
loved her character.
You know what it
fucking
is about the
awesome.
character? This is the thing about the character.
Okay, do it.
I can't stand pushy wives.
Okay.
And depicted that way because that's not reality. It just isn't anymore.
Maybe you can't stand
There's
it because that's me.
equalities. Oh gosh, it's about equality, and the promotion of equality is a good thing. But then when you got this fat idiot that's just bullied by a spouse, it's like you're bullshit,
Yeah.
and that just bugs me. So I don't care for that way.
She's still cute.
Because he's fat?
No, didn't like her character being a bully and pushy.
Oh,
And that's the way it was depicted in the show, exaggerated because it was
Okay.
a TV show. And I don't like that.
okay.
Want to be equal? Be equal, damn it. What the hell are you doing?
I'm holding up the spit. What is this called?
It's a pop filter.
The pop filter because it's falling down.
There's a thumb screw on it.
It's not working at the moment.
I see.
All right. Should we exit?
I think we're done.
We might want to exit like
Toast.
10 minutes from here.
Toasted.
Yeah.
I hope everybody's drunk as we are right now.
We were going to play the rest of the song, though.
Yep, let's go.
We are going to play the rest of the song
Jimmy
on our extra
Primetime
here.
Smith.
It is.
Jimmy Prime Time.
Come on, do it. This
Love
guy's,
So Strong.
I love this dude.
Yeah, it's
We
good.
we're going to thank you again and express our appreciation for you listening to our show. I think we're going to probably do another follow up to the Scientology thing.
Probably,
We're so
because we're-
sporadic. We'll
Yep.
probably organize a little bit and speak some more about it, especially after next week's final show of the Netflix series Scientology: The Aftermath by Leah Remini.
There you go.
Thank you. Good job.
Oh, thank you. I should be in radio. I got a face for it.
You do have a face for it. You're pretty pretty.
Oh, face for radio and TV. I'll take them both.
Go on, Jimmy.
All right.
Jimmy Prime.
Here we
Thank you
go.
for listening.
Thank you for listening. This is Cheryl, Jen, and Eric for In the Real. We will see you next time.
So strong, my love is so strong, love so strong, yeah, my love is so strong. I could find a million words to tell you how I feel. they wouldn't tell you, pretty darling, what's down in my heart. Now, I know you've been hurt before. Please don't walk out that door. No matter what happened in the past, honey, our love is here to last. This love was meant to be. Longer than that old tree. But my love is so strong. Love so strong. My love is so strong. Love so strong. Yeah, my love is so strong. Love so strong. Well, my love is so strong. No matter what happened in the past, honey, our love is here to last. This love was meant to be. Stronger than that old tree. My love is so strong. Love so strong. My love is so strong. Love so strong. My love is so strong. Love so strong. My love is so strong. Love so strong.
Jimi Primetime Smith.